Afternoon, everybody. I would say that we are definitely starting at 3:43 MDT, which is Matt Derrick time. For those of you longtime viewers, you're familiar with my unfortunate late start sometimes. So I always appreciate you for bearing with me. And for those of you who are newer comers and haven't experienced one of my truly late starts, I apologize. I was on track to get started early and just had an unfortunate delay, but I'm back in more or less peak health and have my voice and my energy. So we're ready to do it. And Nick is feeling pretty good too. He's going to be joining us later. I saw, and they have fixed something. Looks like I am able to see questions and statements that were posted early. Don't know how they fixed that, but I'm very grateful that is finally fixed. So now you don't have to repeat your questions. And going forward, if you need to get your question in early, I can even see Albert from checking in from 10:07 a.m. So I'm pretty happy about that. We got a lot to talk about. I am sure that a lot of you have plenty of questions, and understand if you need to pop in and go and fire your question and take off. It's a weird time. We'll see how many of you folks have the opportunity to come on in, but I truly appreciate you bearing with us this week, and me in particular. Tuesday was the absolute depth of my recent illness, so feeling much better, but Tuesday, I know many of you are also fans of Locked On Chiefs, and you probably saw me with Ryan Tracy, and we were recording that episode, and just to share a little bit of how the sausage gets made. We were recording that at like 5:30, and at that point, I'd already told Nick, I'm probably not doing the podcast. I'm just not feeling good enough. Don't have enough energy. And I got started with Ryan, and about 10, 15 minutes in, I thought, you know what? I can do the live stream. It's going to be okay. I can make it through. I'm not going to fall asleep. Not going to have any issues. I think I can grind through it. And literally 15 minutes later, I was like, and maybe even 5 minutes later, I was just like, I hope you couldn't see it on the podcast, but I was just sweating trying to get through it to the end. I didn't know if I'd have the energy to make it. If I made sense in the last 10 minutes, it was probably a miracle. So I appreciate Ryan for bearing up with me. But if you saw me on Locked On Chiefs and didn't think I was at my best, there's your reason why, and why you get to hear from Nick and I on Friday this week instead of on Tuesday. And next week will be another odd week because I unfortunately, because the game on Wednesday, on Christmas Day, will my family scheduled Christmas around my schedule. So we're going to be getting together on Christmas Eve. So it might be pretty tight to do a Tuesday night show. Nick and I are trying to still work through when we might be able to do it. I know that's a tough night for all of you too. So we might end up doing the live stream, maybe even Monday or earlier Tuesday. We'll see. We'll find out a time to try and hopefully get everybody in. But I even seen Nick checked in at 3:01 to see if there was a Christmas themed party platter. So you can definitely apparently go back to posting some of your questions early, and we can get into them. Appreciate Sharon. No platter, but there is some eggnog. And Casey Harold, the bacon wrapped little smokies are amazing. Those are fantastic. So got to hopefully have some fun on tap today. I have been checking, and since I popped in on the live stream, so I have not checked in the last few minutes. Obviously expecting the Chiefs to activate Hollywood Brown today. Haven't seen it on the transaction wire yet, so let me check and just see if it posted anything this afternoon yet to make it official. He's still technically on injured reserve. He's been designated to return, at least for the practice window to start. But we're still looking for that official news. So let me go over. I can check it even faster on my phone. I know there's nothing better than watching a guy online just stream through his phone, but hasn't officially been posted yet. The deadline was 3:00, but my understanding is the Chiefs were going to activate Hollywood Brown. So we'll find out for sure. But and Nick's even popped into the green room early, so I don't know when he's going to be ready to go. But I know that we'll have Nick earlier than you. Well, actually, we'll probably have Nick about on time. It's just because I was so late today. But Robert Scott with the first question today. Do you think we'll see Pacheco and Hunt in the backfield at the same time come playoff time? I mean, it's always possible, Robert. I'm not betting on it because the Chiefs haven't been much of a two-back backfield unless they're playing one as a true kind of a typical fullback role. I mean, I remember the 49ers used to make a lot of hay back in the day in the West Coast offense with two backs and two true halfbacks in the backfield. So I wouldn't be surprised if, there was a few wrinkles in there that it could happen on some specific plays. I'm sure that the Chiefs have maybe a few of those in their in the playbook. It's just not something that typically Andy Reid has done. But I don't. I mean, let me put it this way: I think it's going to happen probably, but only in maybe one or two plays. I mean, I think it's going to be something special. It's not going to be something that they roll out there on a regular basis. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see it at some point. So. Kevin, what happened on Butker's shank? I was at the game and watched his pregame kicks, and he made them all. I don't think there's any doubt. It was the miscommunication as far as getting everybody onto the field. Dave Tobe kind of explained what happened with the miscommunication. Butker sounds like was kicking into his net on his own. Ariza and Winchester were, whether they were working on the snap and hold or just were not with Butker at the time when the call came in. And remember, the Chiefs appeared like they were going to go for it. Then the timeout came and they changed their mind, decided to go ahead and go for the field goal there. And Butker was the only one that got the word that they were going to kick the field goal. They didn't get the word to Winchester and Ariza because they were not with Butker when the call came in. So I think you can kind of, you can take your own interpretations about what Dave Tobe was saying there. And if there's anybody else to blame, he said he took the blame for it, for the miscommunication, as far as all three of them not getting the word. But if you saw Butker's face and you saw him, looking at the sideline and signaling for those guys to get out there, that was Harrison Butker's angry face. He was frustrated. And I mean, if I'm the Chiefs, I would have called timeout there. I would have given Butker some time to cool off and everything, because even when I was watching the game live, I saw that look on Butker's face. I was like, there's no way he's making this kick. I mean, he is not in the right headspace right now. I mean, he's either got to take some serious deep breaths to calm down, or if he is, that pumped up from, the energy and the adrenaline of getting those guys out there and trying to get the whole thing together, he's just going to hit it too hard, and squirrel it away. So I just was in my mind watching them getting out there and what the chaos that was going on around that, and just the body language and the look on the face of Butker. Didn't think there was any chance in the world he was making that kick. So that just seemed doomed to fail. So I think that's as simple as it was. It was a miscommunication, led to the frustration. It threw off Butker, and there you go. Dr. Ozzie, I'm probably going to save your first question until Nick comes in, because I think it's a good question for him, too. Probably a better question for him, because he's always smarter than I am, especially when it comes to college football. But Deontae Johnson, attempt number 2. I was thinking about that, Ozzie, and everybody who wanted the trade for Deontae Johnson a few months ago before the Ravens got him. This was, I didn't think it was going to be this bad. I knew it wasn't going to work, because bringing in a receiver like that mid-season and trying to fit him into an offense, he's not DeAndre Hopkins, let's put it this way. And you need a DeAndre Hopkins type to even make that kind of work. And Deontay at that point had just burned through 2 teams already. What was the likelihood that he was going to burn through a third team? Pretty high. I didn't know it was going to happen this fast, this meteoric, but there was no way it was going to work. And if he'd ended up in Kansas City, I don't know necessarily would have flamed out as quickly and been such a tremendous disaster like it's been in Baltimore, but it wouldn't have worked out in Kansas City either. And remember, based on the compensation, you can bet the Chiefs weren't interested, because the Chiefs could have beat that deal if they wanted to. Anybody in the NFL could have beaten that deal if they wanted to. It was just, 20 draft positions on day 3 and late day 3 at that. So, hey, if the Chiefs want to take a flyer on Deontay Johnson, sign him to the offseason roster, the 90-player roster in the offseason, see how it goes then, knock yourself out. But I wouldn't touch Deontay Johnson in the postseason with a 10-foot pole. That guy right now, at least at this point, is I won't say team killer, but he's not anybody that you want in your organization right now. I mean, that's clearly not the case. Chuck with another popular question: when do you anticipate Steven Nelson to make his second debut with the Chiefs? Could it come as soon as Christmas Day? Yeah, I think that's at least the earliest. I think it might depend a little bit on where the Chiefs are, as far as clinch wise. A little bit how this secondary looks, and especially with maybe Chris Roland Wallace playing a bigger role in the slot. I think that'll be a question. Now, remember, if Steven Nelson plays, he's not going to be a slot guy. I mean, he's an outside guy. It's what he's been in his career. And so you're not going to play him in the slot. So your options there are still a little bit limited. But if in this game, especially going up against a big receiver like, Nico Collins, rather, if the Chiefs corners outside Trent McDuffie struggle against him and some of these other Texans receivers, then you might see Steven Nelson on Christmas Day. I mean, I still think that they're going to give the guys that they have as much time as possible. I think they're going to give Steven Nelson as much time to ramp up as much as possible. I'd be very surprised if he was activated this week. We haven't seen the official activations yet, but I'd be very surprised if he was activated this week. Maybe against the Steelers, that was always what I thought would be the earliest. But it also could simply be because remember the Chiefs are they brought in Steven Nelson for break glass in case of emergency, and they may just not feel like that they need to break that glass yet. So we'll see what happens. One person that I know that we never have to break glass in case of emergency because Nick is always there for you. You can break glass in case of emergency, I guess, if you need him, but Nick is always there for you.
Season's greetings, Matt.
Season's greetings, Nick. How are you today?
Let's light this candle. I got myself a sport coffee. We're going to light this candle, Matt. Candle's lit right now.
Candle is lit. I haven't turned on the right microphone today. I mean, I may have shown up at 3:43, Nick, but I showed up to play.
I mean, if that's how you want to look at it, it's certainly a vantage point.
Hey, sometimes it's a low, threshold. That's all you're going for. Sometimes Nick, you go in with low expectations. You can only be pleased.
Hey, Matt, whatever you got to do to hype yourself up, brother, you go for it.
It's like I went into the MUKU game expecting Missouri to get blown out by 50. They won the game, so I was ecstatic.
All I'm saying is if I show up in a producer booth late, then that would not work out well for me. Got to show up there 15 minutes before the show starts so you can talk to everybody, get everybody situated in their IFBs, and make sure the director and TD, technical director, are good. Make sure they get everything they need. And then, then you go on that wild hour-long journey that you try to make it look coherent on TV for an hour.
Well, you always make it look coherent, Nick, so...
I try my best, but you're dealing with a lot of technology, so it's not all. Sometimes you're just leaving stuff up to the elements of weather. Sometimes
there is that, but now it makes me wonder, Reese, based on the question that you had earlier, will you have a Christmas themed party platter before the pregame show on Saturday on KSHB?
No, I don't do communal food. Unless it's been wrapped up and properly handled. It's just not about that life, Matt.
Not about that life.
Not out here trying to spread germs during the holiday season.
That is my weak point because I'm okay. I have a weakness for communal food. If it's good communal food, I mean I got sometimes I just have to take my shots in more ways than one.
One sneeze on the brisket and things go sideways.
Well, and there's probably going to be plenty of sneezes that you don't know about on the brisket. So,
well, Matt, that's why I say communal food. Not about that. Like the one thing that bugs me the most we have a table at work that people put food out there, completely awesome, very thoughtful of them and everything. But for example, take maybe cookies or donuts or something like that. Like the people that leave the lid up, whether it's a pizza or donuts or something like that. I'm like, no, don't dry it out for everybody. Like, protect it. So every time I go by, man, I will put the lid down on whatever is up that could be drying out the food or wrecking it for other people.
Okay, well, on the subject real quick, because I think we obviously here, Nick, other than talking Chiefs football, I feel like the other thing that we really do give people here are life lessons. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the great takeaways that you can come from this show, this experience. So let's just discuss the communal food situation, because you're right, closing the lid, absolute, definite. I mean, you can't let that happen. You don't want germs, you don't want dust, you don't want anything else getting in there. And you don't want anything drying out, anything like that. So yes, always close the lid. Here's mine, and my big one, my big pet peeve. The act of you piercing a piece of food is you eating that piece of food. So there's no eating quarter of a donut. There's no eating half a cupcake. Nothing like, eating quarter of a bagel. The act of you touching that piece of food is the act of you consuming that entire piece of food.
Yeah, it's now your possession, in my opinion. Once you touch that, you take it. That's yours. Okay. We're not out here. No, we're not about that life where we're just taking life a quarter at a time. No, you now fully own that. Like I recognize you as the owner of that, and since you put your hands and germs on it, that is your possession.
No matter how careful you are about it. So,
I know. And the sports department knows me very well because they offer me things. They're like, Nick's going to say no. And I'm like, you're 100% right. I'm going to. That's how it's going to be.
I'm going through to see if there's anything that, missing in the discussion and everything. I'm trying to do a better job of that, but my ability to listen, to talk, and to read at the same time, I can really only do two of the three, Nick. I mean, I have to choose which of the three. So if I'm going to read and kind of talk at the same time, it means I'm not listening to you, which I don't like doing. So, I mean, that means that I can only read and listen at the same time. Mm-hmm. Because right now I'm going through the comments and I'm not entirely engaging in all of it. So, although, hey, Red Royce hasn't been here. I haven't seen Red Royce in a while, but he's here. Merry Christmas, all. Merry Christmas, Red Royce. Good to see you. So yeah, I think I was going somewhere with this, Nick, but now it makes no sense. So I'm just going to bail and
all right.
I'm going to move on to Dr. Ozzy's question because I saved it because I think you're going to have a better answer for it than I will because you watch more college football during the year than I do.
Not much.
But not Chiefs related, but with the college football playoffs starting tonight, who do you think will win it all? And I guess, and also, who would you like to see win it all? If that may be a different team.
Okay. So tonight it's going to be a Notre Dame, Indiana. I'm anticipating Notre Dame winning that one and taking on Georgia next on Sugar Bowl Day on New Year's Day. SMU, Penn State. I think Penn State will win that one and go take on Boise Christmas or New Year's Eve. And then Ohio State, Tennessee. I think Ohio State's soft because of their coach that they need to fire, Ryan Day.
Wow.
So, dude, did you see what happened? Like, I am never going to have respect for that man again after what happened in Michigan, Ohio State.
Yes, I understand. And you're not alone there. You're not alone.
The fight is happening on the field. You're standing off to the side, and you ask somebody who wanders by, you're like, hey, what's going on here? You're the head coach, bud. You should be out there in the middle of that, getting your players away. The fact you just stood back there and watched that, if I was a booster, man, I would tell the school I will never pay a dime again as long as that individual. There's things I wanted to say, but I decided, with it being a public live stream, probably shouldn't say it. Never pay a dime again as long as that guy's there. If I was a booster, but luckily I don't have that type of money, so I don't have to worry about that, and I don't care about Ohio State. So there's that too. So I expect Tennessee to beat them, and Tennessee they got some athletes at receiver. And then Texas, Clemson, that one that'll be interesting. But I mean, I expect Texas to win that one. And then Texas takes on Arizona State. That's going to be intriguing because Arizona State's got some guys that are going to be in the NFL draft. So like, I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm going to lean Arizona State, and then Oregon, Tennessee. I think Oregon wins that one. Boise State versus Penn State. I think Boise State revolves around the running back that was in the Heisman. I believe it was Gentry. And I think so much revolves around him that once you take him away, I would have concerns with somebody the caliber of Penn State being able to eliminate that and really overwhelm them. And Penn State's got the former KU offensive coordinator that's pretty creative. And then let's see, that last one will be Georgia Notre Dame. That'll be probably be very popular ratings wise in the Sugar Bowl. But Georgia just gets so many athletes and so much talent. I mean, we'll see what happens with that quarterback. That's replacing their guy that has the elbow injury, but I don't know. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I would be surprised if it's not Georgia, Oregon. Who wins that one? I'm not 100% sure. I think Oregon will probably be the favorite, but I don't know, Matt. Like I said, I don't watch a ton. Like I don't watch it in the way that I watch NFL, because NFL consumes what free time I do have when I'm not working. So,
well, and one of the things I'm just blown away by is that I feel like some of the odds in the first round games should be a lot closer. I mean, I'm just surprised to see 7, 12-point spreads in these games, because I don't think that all these teams are that far apart. I mean, I don't think Texas is 12 points better than Clemson. I'll bet Dr. Ozzy's question, one of them is, who do you want to see win? I'll answer one he did not ask. Who do you not want to see win? I don't want to see Texas win. I want Texas just knocked out as early as possible, because Texas just annoys me. Right. I have no particular disdain for them other than the fact that they're really obnoxious, and they've had some obnoxious coaches. And I still have some Tom Herman just dislike and taint with Texas that I just can't stand. So, whether Clemson can pull it off or not, I'm calling for the upset. I'm going with Clemson. I think they can pull it off. And honestly, I mean, I think that Clemson, if they win, I think they can beat Arizona State too. I think I want to go with you, because you're going with the upset too. I mean, Ohio State's a 7-point favorite against Tennessee. I'll go with the Vols. I'll take them. And I mean, they're going to get run by Oregon, but I'll take them winning this game. And then I'm going a lot of upsets, because I think all the Big Ten teams outside Oregon are soft. So I'm going with Southern Methodist in an upset over Penn State. And I don't know. I think I'm going to have to go with the Notre Dame. I think I'll have to go with the Gold Domers in that one. They won't survive Georgia, but they'll make it. Georgia, I mean, that's going to set up an SMU Boise State game, which for me would mean, obviously, if I'm right, then you're going to get an unexpected school into the semifinals. I think that will be Boise State. They're a really good team, and I think they've shown it. Gave Oregon all they could handle early in the season. Oregon should cruise. Like I said, I think Clemson can take down Arizona State. Oregon over Clemson easily. Georgia over Boise. So I end up in the exact same place that you do. But I'll take Oregon over Georgia in the finale. And honestly, I'd probably be okay with both those teams. You talk about teams that I would love to see win it. I mean, I'd love to see Boise just be the underdog that pulls it all off, but I don't think that's going to happen. So if it's not Boise, I'd take Oregon for at least more entertaining. Better story. I like the better stories, Nick.
Matt, I'm glad to hear it. I'm going to retweet something out here. So,
do we have news?
Yeah, we do. Hold on here.
Well, fine. Break it on Twitter and not share it with us.
Sorry, man. I got to tag my work handle on it. And
I'm just pulling up maybe the same thing. So yes, the Chiefs have indeed officially designated for a return Hollywood Brown. So he will be on the 53 roster for tomorrow, which will make it very likely that he is going to play. And the Chiefs have elevated 2 players from the practice squad for tomorrow: safety Deon Bush and tight end Anthony Firkser. Expected both of those to be active this weekend, so not a big surprise for me. And tight end Baylor Cupp has been placed on the practice squad injured reserve list. He was on that list earlier this season. A bit of a surprise. I mean, the Chiefs don't typically mention any injuries with practice squad players, but so we don't know the exact nature of that. But he's been a little dinged up this year, so that also gives the Chiefs a free practice squad spot for which they can bring somebody else in. So we'll see how they fill that spot on the practice squad. But yes, you will have Hollywood Brown, Deon Bush, and Anthony Firkser up tomorrow. Nick, any thoughts that you have?
Well, I'm finishing up my tweeting for work.
Well,
So, anyways, No, I mean Hollywood we've kind of known about. I mean this area has been the target date for a while. So like I know people. It's just interesting because like people like I know there's certain national guys that said it this week. I'm like, yeah, it's been known for like a month, man. Like I mean, so I mean like they're acting like this is big news this week, and I'm like, yeah, it's been pretty well known for over a month. Like you and I have been talking about this on this podcast for or Q&A or whatever we want to call it at this point. I don't know, but anyways, we've been saying this date for a while, so like it's not really that big of a surprise, and they hit the window, and so I mean, obviously the doctor cleared him in Colorado, and everybody thinks that everything's going to be all right in terms of if he takes a hit, how it's going to go. But I mean, you're hoping him and Worthy together can really force defenses to back off a little bit and kind of give the Chiefs ability to really kind of work over the middle quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we've been waiting for. We've been waiting to see what this offense looks like with Hollywood Brown. And, I think obviously what the Chiefs are hoping for is that it just helps you reach critical mass. And we've seen an example of that in the last 3 games because Charles Omenihu looks like he's provided the critical mass that the Chiefs pass rush has needed because they've gone from being incredibly just struggling with the pass rush and generating a consistent pass rush to the last 3 weeks looking like what they thought they would look like all along. And hopefully, for the Chiefs, what they're banking on is that, hey, that Charles Omenihu was just the piece that they needed to reach that critical mass, to be able to distribute the snaps correctly and be able to get consistent pressure on every down and not just occasional pressure. Seems like they've done that. The hope with Hollywood Brown, he does the same thing, that you get him on the field with Xavier Worthy and a DeAndre Hopkins and a Travis Kelce, that you're just going to have that one more piece that's going to make it difficult for defenses to pick which way they want to go and which way they want to shade their coverage. And that can just free things up for Mahomes to be a little bit choosier with where he throws the football and maybe not being, and certainly it would help. I don't think we're making anything up here. I don't think we're speaking out of school, Nick. I think it would certainly help if Patrick were just a bit choosier with his targets and a little bit quicker with his delivery of the football.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here in the weeks ahead. He's got an opportunity here with the ankle injury to get the ball out pretty quick.
We'll see if he takes it, but I know Patrick. I know he loves to throw the ball downfield, so I'm offering pretty good odds, Nick, on whether or not you want to bet that Patrick takes a shot for Hollywood Brown downfield on his first throw of the game.
It'll be interesting because part of their 7-step drop concept that they were doing out of like under center play action. So depending on how that ankle is, that'll be interesting how you want to approach that.
We'll see how it goes. Chuck also asking, any updates on McColl? Will he be back for the playoff run, or are they sticking with Remigio? Will be interesting. I was told last week that McColl is probably at least a couple more weeks away. Just some inside info or scoop there, observation. I was told it's still difficult for McColl to sneeze. So he had a pretty serious, core muscle surgery and injury. And we know that those can take some time. And his was a fairly similar timeline as far as, like Jerick McKinnon went through last year. And so I still even think that the next couple of weeks would be kind of early. And the Chiefs have the luxury of not having to rush him back if they don't need to. If Remigio continues to handle the position the way it is, and Dave Toub has told him to be aggressive. I mean, they're not holding back with Remigio. Dave Toub's got a ton of faith in him. So even that over-the-shoulder catch that you saw last week, I mean, Dave Toub had no problems with that. I mean, now he's not going to have a problem until the ball ends up on the ground. So if that happens with Remigio, that might be when you see a change, or you see that the Chiefs say, okay, time to get McColl back from IR. But I think they've got the luxury right now to give him as much time as he needs, and if it needs to be a little bit more time, I don't think they have to rush him.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Hollywood Brown, you've got Xavier Worthy, you got DeAndre Hopkins, you got Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, you've got what you need at receiver. So, and Remigio does this crazy innovative idea where when he catches a football, he runs forward. It's very exciting stuff. Very innovative. They get positive yardage normally from it, and it's not hey, I'm going to widen it out and continue to extend it and try to hope that I can find an angle and run like Tyreek used to. It's like, no, this way of returning is, hey, we go forward. Very exciting stuff.
It is very exciting stuff. Yes, he sees a hole and he hits it. So it's pretty simple strategy, Nick. But effective.
You would think it would be simple, but I've watched for years when other Chiefs receivers and returners decide, let's go on a journey. Let's take the scenic route of returning.
Scenic route of returning.
Let's not get from point A to point B. Let's go from A to D to E, maybe C. I don't like scenic route returning.
I don't like scenic route punt returns because the first time that I see a player run 30 yards laterally on a punt return without picking up a penalty for holding or blocking the back will be the first time. I mean, anymore, it just always happens. So
that's because you give so many more opportunities for it to happen instead of just, hey, cut and go, bro. That's what I would be yelling at somebody if they were returning. Cut and go, bro.
Cut and go, bro.
We're not in here giving scenic tours on a bus. Hey, here's the plaza. Here's the plaza lighting. Here's Nelson Art Museum. No, cut and go, bro.
Cut and go.
We got places to go. We got touchdowns to get. Let's go.
Love it.
Sneaky insight of me as a coach.
Cut and go. I'm picturing you like, coaching your niece and just yelling at her to cut and go. So
I don't yell at her, but I have talked to her about whenever she was trying to learn how to disengage from blocks, and I had to teach her how to smack, dip, rip.
I mean, I think you badly need to be coaching like a 12-year-old girls flag football team. I would love to see that.
I don't think you want that, and I don't think the greater Kansas City area would like that.
I mean, it might make a great SNL skit, but I mean,
I feel like it'd be more like Peyton Manning's United.
That's exactly what I was picturing. Oh. All right, we get to Tyler's question. Would you guys need a linebacker for Saturday? With now that Leo's been downgraded to questionable with an illness, obviously the Chiefs didn't go that direction. But I mean, Deion Bush is a special teams player. That's why he's active. Without Chamari Connor, you're gonna have Chris Roland-Wallace probably take up a lot of his snaps. Maybe you get filled in some other way, as far as, just the non-slot snaps of Chamari Connor, probably Jaden Hicks, but Deion Bush could obviously take some of those too. But Deion Bush is going to play a ton of special team snaps. And if Leo can't play, I mean, you've got that, but you've got some decent linebacker depth. I mean, you got Cam Jones. I mean, Chiefs have played short at linebacker before, so it doesn't seem like to be a big deal to me, Nick.
I mean, look, I'm going to be real here. The Texans offense is based on Nico Collins. So like that's what a lot of that revolves around. I mean, Joe Mixon, they did a hip drop tackle on him. He still played through the ankle injury. I don't know how smart it was, but he did. And he didn't cut as well in my observation afterwards. So I understand from a lot of perspectives. Look, Leo Chenal, he's a fantastic blitzer. He's good in run support, and like he's awesome downhill overall. Just the strength he has, he could be a pass rusher for him. And like in a 34 front, he could easily be an outside linebacker and just crush people for fun. Not even for a job, just for fun. So like, I mean, yeah, it is a loss when you don't have him out there. But what I'm telling you is like a lot of what the game plan, in my opinion, is going to be or should be about the Texans is how do you take advantage of the guards, collapse the pocket in on Stroud? How do you contain with the ends? And then how do you do some of those twists and stunts at the guards? Because the way those guys turn their shoulders, they got some bad O-line coaching down there in Houston as well.
And when I say, if you didn't have Leo, which I think they're probably going to have Leo anyway, but even if you didn't, and I say it's not being a big deal, I mean, from the standpoint that you're discussing, which the Chiefs are going to spend most of the day, if not the entire day, in nickel and dime. So you're probably going to only have two linebackers on the field most of the time. So that'll end up being Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquil. Not saying you're not going to miss Leo because he does some really important things for this team, but this is a team in which, you're not going to play a lot of just traditional base 4-3. You're going to play mostly in sub all day long.
Certainly a possibility, Matt.
Chuck's another question from Chuck for both of us. Well, for both of us, Nick, not just one of us, not just for me or for you, but for both of us here. I like those. Horsebag's best 11. I imagine we're probably the same on maybe 9 or 10, maybe even all 11.
I mean, a mini is going to be one of your ends. Carlotas will be the other. Chris will be the 3 tech. 1 tech, it just depends. I mean, if you're looking from a pass rushing perspective, having Wharton and Chris out there on pass rushing downs is a pretty big deal if you can do it. But if you're doing run, then, I mean, Pinello should be your 1. And then linebacker-wise, obviously, it's going to be what it's always been. It's going to be Bolton, Tranquil, and Chenal. And then corner-wise, it's going to be McDuffie. I would make sure Hicks is out there. And then I'm more comfortable with Justin Reed than I am Brian Cook right now. And then that final cornerback spot, I think it's just a corner roulette, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably just favor the, and I hear I am saying, calling, Brian Cooks, he's still a young guy. I'm calling him veteran savvy. I guess I would lean with the veteran savvy at safety and give him the benefit of the doubt, even though I love Jaden Hicks, and I would wait to be, I mean, he'd be my 12th guy. He'd be the guy who I'm getting as many snaps as I can out there as any sub. I mean, yeah, McDuffie, I mean, it's McDuffie and who's the other corner? And I don't know. I mean, I still feel like that for all the mistakes everybody's made, I feel like that at least the guy who's most sound, and maybe that's the wrong word, but I'm going to go with it as far as just, mostly doing what they're supposed to do. I think I'd go with Najee Johnson, but I mean, once again, it's a coin flip between Najee and Josh Williams. And I mean, I might even, maybe after tomorrow, maybe I'll feel even more confident about Chris Roland Wallace and be willing to roll with him out there, especially with Jamari Connor hurt. So your mileage may vary, Nick.
It will, Matt. It will.
Oh, I'm glad Cody said, don't forget to stick around for the elongated lightning round. We know that's going to be coming up soon, Nick.
Anything's possible, Matt. Anything is possible. You've got till 4:40 before it's an hour, so you get time.
There you go.
Or maybe 4:43. I can't remember.
Jackson, appreciate the kind words. That's very kind of you. Here we go. Next question from T-Bills. T-Bills 15. I wonder what, I mean, I know where the 15 comes from, I think.
He's a lover of Todd Collins. I totally get it.
Nice dog. I like the picture of the dog. What kind of snap percentage do you think that we can expect from Hollywood Brown tomorrow?
I mean, I think probably 15 to 20 is probably the most you're wanting to put him out there right now. Because you got to be mindful of Pittsburgh on Wednesday if you're going to play him in that. So, I mean, it may end up being more snaps than that, but I mean, Chiefs offense is normally getting anywhere between 50 to 60 snaps. And if it's a game where they really have to drive the field, then it might be 74 to 75 snaps. But yeah, I think if you're over 20 at that point, then that'll be where it's like, oh boy, okay.
You know what? I mean, and maybe it's just because I don't know. Maybe I've just been snowed in by so much of the positive word of mouth about Hollywood Brown.
Don't use the word snow, okay? Let's not use it right now.
All right.
That puts me on alert.
Don't need anybody on alert around here, thankfully. But I don't know. And maybe it's just because I feel like they want to get as many snaps with Hollywood and Patrick as possible. I just feel like he might hit the 30 to 40 range. I'd be surprised if it's anything over than that. I think even above 50% would surprise me as far as just a percentage goes. But I don't know. I mean, your snap count number, I think, is what it should be. I'm just afraid it's going to be more than that. And, we'll see what happens. But you're right. I mean, if we're coming up on Christmas Day, I think you probably would like to limit a lot of guys' snaps with the quick turnaround. I just haven't seen any evidence yet that the Chiefs are doing that. And certainly there's an emphasis right now that it certainly feels like with this team, which is win these next two games period, because they want to take it easy against the Broncos, and they want these guys to, especially some of their big name starters, to have an extended break. We'll see if that strategy works, but I think it's interesting to see. I mean, it's and Jeremy's kind of asking about the same thing as far as what should we expect to see from Brown in these next these next three regular season games. I mean, I think you'd like to see obviously a building of a workload, but I think you also want to just see the chemistry between him and Mahomes rekindled. They had great chemistry in the offseason and training camp before the injury. So, I mean, if you can get that back in business, team's going to be in pretty good shape.
Yes. Yeah. I'm curious to see how quickly they can get I'm curious to see if they're going to be able to kind of use Brown from a short route perspective like they did Rice, or how they go about it, especially with the Texans and the way they kind of zone coverage. I'm curious to see how the Chiefs try to take advantage of that on Saturday.
Let's see. Jeremy wants to know if we could run. We already did. No, that was not the question I wanted to go to. I already did that, Jeremy. Sorry. It was Chris's question right below, and I just misclicked. Would you run down the various scenarios for the 1 seed? I mean, there's a lot, but I mean, there's one scenario where the Chiefs could clinch this week, Nick. I mean, they win and the Bills lose. They'd have to lose to the New England Patriots, but inconceivably could happen. Your easiest path is that the Chiefs just win the next 2 games. Their magic number against the Bills is 2. So any combination of 2 Chiefs wins or Bills losses eliminates them. Magic number over the Steelers is 1. Any Steelers loss, any Chiefs win, Steelers are eliminated. That's about as basic as it gets.
Yep. The Chiefs need to win too. Don't have to worry about anything. Win Saturday against the Texans, win Wednesday against the Steelers. They're the 1 seed, and then they can finally get their unofficial bye week in week 18, and they can get their official bye week the following week after New Year's. So that's the thing. That win on Saturday, then winning in Pittsburgh is the finish line for a lot of those veterans that desperately need the rest.
Well, shall we discuss the crummiest scenario?
No, I don't do negatives around here. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to say it just so that it won't happen, because if we put it out there, it won't happen, Nick. But and I don't know how. I mean, actually, the Chargers last night's game, I don't know how much really. I mean, it did affect it greatly because the Broncos had won last night. I don't think the scenario would be even in play. But there's a scenario where, I mean, at least the Broncos won. I mean, there's actually a scenario where the Broncos would have to win in week 18 to be in the playoffs. It's a remote scenario, but it's possible. Certainly possible that the Broncos game determines seeding. That's going to be pretty important to them about whether they're the 5, 6, or the 7 seed. Chance things don't go well, Chiefs lose a game in the next 2 games, that they need to beat the Broncos to guarantee the number 1 seed. To me, the worst case scenario is that the Chiefs, in that scenario, the Chiefs get flexed to Saturday and have a short week going to Denver for the season finale. That would be just crummy.
But it wouldn't be a short week though.
Wouldn't be it would not be a shorter week. They would actually be coming off a mini bye, but it just also ruins your mini bye by a day.
Yeah, by a whole day. It's
an important day, Nick.
When you've already played on that Wednesday the week before, I think you'll be all right.
You'll be all right. You'd have the rest advantage, all that. I get it, but it's still
just beat the Texans, beat the Steelers, and you don't have to worry about it.
You don't want, Then week 18 does not matter.
Just cut and go, bro.
No, that's right. Jackson's got an interesting question on the Hollywood take. What do you think is his ceiling for the rest of the way? I don't know how to. I don't know. I don't really know what to expect. What do you think, Nick?
I don't know if you necessarily say what's a ceiling, because if you're looking for numbers, who the heck knows? Like, you just want him to help them be able to move the chains and score touchdowns. That's the whole purpose. So, like, the whole, hey, what's a ceiling? What's a floor? I don't care. Because the only reason I say that is because you're hopefully 6 or 7 games away from the season being over. Right now, for Hollywood Brown, it's what you call money time. What he does in the next, hopefully, 6 to 7 games, if the Chiefs can make it that far, And the reason I'm putting 7 in is because you don't know if they're going to play a wild card or not. And, I'm assuming, and I'm giving you max value of what he could potentially do for earnings. This is payday for Hollywood Brown. This is where teams are going to see what he can do potentially in these final 3 games or 2 games, whatever he plays, and then what can he do in the playoffs? How big of an impact can he have on this Chiefs offense? With the way the national media has dogged the Chiefs for the past 2 months, and this is where I'm going to get on my high horse here in a second, Matt. I actually climbed up while you were finding the question. I'm mounted on a horse right now. Just
I
like
love
I was
it.
on an episode of Yellowstone. And what I'm gonna go all Rip Wheeler.
Okay, Rip, give it to us.
And what I'm going to say is, here's the funny thing, and I heard this on another podcast, and this is directed towards them too. Here's what I'm gonna say. So the Chiefs lose Hollywood Brown. The Chiefs lose Pacheco. The Chiefs lose Rashee Rice. The Chiefs lose Jalen Watson. And at one point, they lost to Minihue and Harrison Butker, and we can go on and on and on because it's the injury list that never ends. It goes on and on, my friends. But what I'm getting at here is the argument that keeps getting made is the Chiefs don't win by enough. The Chiefs win a lot of one-score games. And we talked about it on the Q&A last week, but here's the fun fact that they all seem to keep missing is by Christmas Day, the Chiefs will have played the entire AFC playoff field. They will have played every single one of those teams. So whenever you're factoring in and say, they're not winning by enough here, they're not winning by enough there, they will have played the entire field already. They will have already seen how they're going to defend their formations. They will have already seen what they do from a zone perspective. What do they do from a man perspective? How are they rushing the tackles? How did they go about this? How did they go about that? Did they hit somebody with a wiffle ball bat? I don't know. But at the end of the day, they know what they're going to do against their 2 tight end sets, their 3 tight end sets, what they do on this down and distance. They have all those answers. They're not going in flying blind, being like, hey, we're going to try this and explore like Jacques Cousteau, but who knows? So what I'm saying is, I don't care how much they won by in those games. They will have literally played the entire AFC playoff field. And even if the Broncos stumble and they fail, the Bengals are right there to take that spot. And hey, fun fact, Matt, the Chiefs played the Bengals in week 2. So that would just replace Broncos with Bengals. And then you have still played the entire AFC playoff field. They will have played the Ravens. They will have played the Steelers. They will have played the Texans tomorrow. They will have played the Chargers. They will have played the Broncos. They will have played the Bengals if the Bengals get in. And then I'm drawing a blank on the final team, but I believe it's the Buffalo Bills. I'm just kidding. I knew I didn't forget them.
Who's that again? Yeah.
And that's the other thing. People keep arguing. They're like, well, I don't know how you stop the Bills, man. They're scoring 40-some a game right now. Offense is great. Hey, I get it, but their defense is giving up 40 points a game the past 2 weeks against the Rams team and a Lions team. The reason the Lions lost, other than the dumb onside kick, is because they didn't stay committed to the run. When you stay committed to the run, guess what happens? The Bills score less because they have less possessions. So you want to keep that offense off the field? That's part of the way you do it. You want to physically beat down that Bills defense that likes to run in their sub package, the nickel package, and doesn't have the bodies to, on a regular basis, take on the run. And when you hit them with body blow for 4 and 5 yards a clip because they can't stop it, and you keep doing that, and you're okay with that, you win on 2 fronts. That's part of what the Chiefs did when they made that score 29-21. There was 4 plays that cost the Chiefs in that game from winning, and we would still be talking about the Chiefs potentially being undefeated right now and being the worst undefeated team in NFL history, because that's the fun headline that gets all the people that want to hate to pay attention and gets all the Chiefs fans upset to pay attention. So at the end of the day, Matt, I went on a high horse. I apologize, but
I should have put up the Knicks rant graphic because we all love it when you're on your high horse.
So, well, you still got time because I'm still not done. But at the end of the day, what I'm getting at here is if Hollywood Brown helps them convert 3 more first downs, if Hollywood Brown helps them score twice more in the red zone, it opens up space more, or can hit that slant route quicker, or him and Xavier Worthy on crossing routes together. That is terrifying because one of those two is going to be open. So you take that crossing route that Patrick missed with Xavier when he threw it deep to Watson last week against the Browns, and you have it be Xavier worthy on one crosser and then Hollywood Brown behind him on another. Good luck defending that. While you move Kelce on a seam route down there, while three people run with him because they're still scared of Kelce, and you got that speed going across right there. That's equivalent of if they had Rice at the time, but it's the speed instead. Like that in itself is going to be lethal, and that's what they should be running on short down and distances anyways, because one of the two is going to be open. So I don't care what Hollywood Brown's ceiling is. I just care if he can help them score more touchdowns and convert more first downs.
And that's what it is for me. I mean, to me, it's critical mass. That's what I'm talking about, is that if he is just his presence and what he's able to do just even makes it even slightly easier for Patrick Mahomes, that can be the difference between what the Chiefs are doing right now and to what their potential is. I mean, go back and look at, hey, we talked about Kareem Hunt in 2018 and in this offense and with Patrick. I mean, with Kareem Hunt, I think the Chiefs were averaging 7.2 yards a play. And without him, I think the rest of the season, they averaged like 6.5 yards a play. I mean, that's a tremendous difference. I mean, first of all, 7.2 yards a play, even 7+ yards per play is like greatest of all time. That's up there with the greatest show on turf Rams as far as just offensive productivity. 6.5 is still a Super Bowl caliber team. But you're just talking about the difference between having a great offense and a very good offense. And that's what one player can make that difference. Kareem was that player in 2018. Chiefs were still a good team. But, hey, they would have won. Well, if it hadn't been for Kareem's situation, they would have won a Super Bowl. We don't need to relitigate that or anything. But to me, it's just the illustration of what one player can make a difference in just the rest of the offense. You can still have a good offense, but adding that one piece, and if Hollywood can be that one piece the rest of the way, I mean, if he added 10% productivity to this offense, they're going to win a Super Bowl easily.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe. Matt, will you take me off camera? I got to go real quick. I'll be back, I promise.
Absolutely, because I'll probably have to do that to Nick later. So, Luttrell, I think, and I think I can speak for Nick here. Right? We basically have been talking about it. Do you think the Chiefs will win 2 of the last 3? Yeah, I mean, I think they will, and I think they should win the next 2 games. My only really fear, and I think that the Border Patrol on 810, I think I got this from them this week. What the Steelers are 6-1 in division clinching games, and I believe they're 3-0 against the in division clinching games. So, I think that's under Mike Tomlin. So, hey, that's what, you don't want to face the Steelers in that situation. So it would be great if the Steelers beat the Ravens and they clinch the division and it's all done. I think that becomes a much easier game now for the Chiefs because it doesn't have the same meaning to the Steelers. Now the Steelers are kind of like what the Chiefs were on Christmas Day last year. The Steelers are playing a game at home. They didn't get to be with their families. They're probably at the team hotel since the night before. They don't want to be there. And the Chiefs are like, okay, the Raiders last year were of the philosophy, hey, we got to go on the road on Christmas Day. We might as well win this freaking game. I think the Chiefs are going to be kind of in that same boat. I think they're going to be like, hey, we can clinch the number 1 seed. We can do this. We can get this done. It's going to be us against the world. I think that's going to be kind of their take on it. So, I mean, I think you'd love that be the scenario where that game means a lot to the Chiefs and nothing to the Steelers. So, Chuck, I think Dr. Ozzy said it too. I honestly had not seen it yet about whether the Chiefs were doing red on red or white on white. Ozzy, if you said that you saw it on NFL one way, was that, I think you're referring to that one. If anybody has seen that for sure, let me know. And I'd love to know. And I just realized that I'm going to blame the illness, Chief DeLorean, because you were kind enough a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away to post this super chat question, and I did not see it. I am so sorry, Chief DeLorean. I truly appreciate the super chat and appreciate the question. Normally, you do that, you get to move to the top of the list, and I completely just hosed you there. I am so sorry, Chief DeLorean. I owe you a free one there. Next time I see you on the chat, I'm going to move you up as fast as possible for free. So I owe you one. Did Uche pee in Spags' Cheerios? Why is he a healthy scratch? Is he just not a good fit for Spags' scheme? I mean, I think, and Spags kind of gave a little bit of an answer to it this week. It's nothing that Uche has done. It's just that they've had a fit going in a different direction. And Malik Herring has also been a healthy scratch, of late after playing a lot for the Chiefs earlier this year. Obviously, a minute who coming back cost him one of those spots. But I think it's also just been, the depth at a couple of other positions, too. They've had to kind of pick and choose about who they're going to play and where. And Uche's I think part of it is that Uche is a very specific role. He is a third down pass rushing specialist. That's exclusively what he does. The Chiefs have a lot of those right now. So is he there for depth? Yeah. I mean, if anything happens to some of their other, guys that they would use, if something happened to a Mike Dana, something happened to, knock on wood, Chris Jones or George Karlaftis or anybody else who was going to be a part of their third down package, you've got Uche there. So, important depth piece. But they haven't been going with 5 DENs. So, they've been going deeper to a couple of other spots. And those numbers are really kind of affecting a little bit of Uche's, I think he's kind of on the borderline. I mean, if they've been in a situation where they've had the opportunity to have fewer numbers at another spot, then I think Uche would be in there. But when you factor in that, he's not a every down, edge player. He's not big enough to play the run consistently. So he's only going to be there on passing downs. And for the most part, that's going to be third down. I mean, it might be in some second and long situations, late game passing, late half situations. He could be out there in some passing situations, but and you kind of saw it as it went on. I mean, he kind of, even though the Chiefs were kind of optimistic about maybe having him a little bit higher on the depth chart, I think you've kind of seen it. I mean, and Felix Anudike-Uzomah is clearly ahead of him on the depth chart, is what they're comfortable with, because Felix is a multi-down player. I mean, if any of their edge rushers were to go down, Uche is there. And so they've got that depth. So I think are they okay with Uche? I mean, I don't think he's in anybody's doghouse. I don't think he's in trouble with anybody. I mean, if you heard Spags talk about him this week, I don't think that's a problem. I think they're okay. Nick is, I see, back in the green room, so I'll bring him in as soon as he's ready. So I hope he's ready, and I hope all of you are ready.
I saw Luttrell ask for the request, so sorry. The cowboy hat is very old. It's from when I was a child. Still have it. Need one that fits much more correctly. But Luttrell wanted the toothpick, so I was like, you know what? We're gonna go the extra mile. We'll put the toothpick with the hat and the shirt.
Oh, you do a much better job of reading the comments.
We all have our wins, Matt.
Oh dear. I'm speechless, Nick. I'm speechless.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm here for.
Yes. I've got.
Yes, Matt. You got any other Chiefs questions?
I was just thinking we might have our first official meme of the Chiefs Digest live Q&A era.
Please don't, because I want a proportionally correct hat for it. This is not proportionally correct. It's the only one I got on me right now.
First of all, we should only have one meme, and the fact that nobody caught it and memed it or anything like that still hurts my feelings.
Memed what? But, what are we talking about here, Matt?
When our mutual friend Mick Schaefer did his dance in the back of your shot during Super Bowl week.
I don't
know if I don't know if you don't remember that, or you're choosing not to remember it because you don't want anybody to go find it.
I don't remember what you're talking about. I'm being serious. Like, I actually have no idea what you're talking about right now.
That's probably for the best. So,
okay, what happened? There was something about a Super Bowl.
I think it was during Super Bowl week.
Okay.
I think we were doing the live stream, and I was out on media.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a whole different. When Mick came back from when he was out for dinner, seeing his family or whatever, and came back in and was doing karate,
doing karate chops. Yeah,
yeah, that was funny, man. Oh yeah.
Well, you have the thanks of Luttrell, so.
Well, that's all that matters to me. Okay, I went the extra mile. It took me a minute to find a shirt that still semi fits, and then, just so you know, my grandpa being a farmer, this was part of the standard practice when we would do some of that. So trust me, I have a lot of stuff that is Yellowstone semi themed that was around 20 years, 30 years before Yellowstone even mattered.
No, I grew up on a farm, so I used to have the whole gear myself. I mean, I've had my share of cowboy boots, but it's been a long time. So,
I get it, Matt.
Well, Steam and Demon, if the Chiefs win tomorrow, he's playing Wentz on Christmas. I badly want to see Carson Wentz play on Christmas Day. And it's not that I have like anything personal against Netflix or anything, but I just want somebody to take it on the chin financially for just the NFL just gouging people with the money. Because I mean, if Netflix could send $75 million, I want them to be paying for Carson Wentz. I don't want them to be paying for Patrick Mahomes. I think it would just be fitting. And like I said, it's nothing personal, Netflix. It's whomever was paying $75 million for Christmas Day. I'd want them to get Carson Wentz. No offense, Carson Wentz.
As you continually offend everybody with
it. I love Carson Wentz, but Netflix didn't pay $75 million for Carson Wentz. We know that.
Yeah.
All right. Back to your regular scheduled elongated lightning round.
All right, Matt. You can you take me off camera. I'm gonna take the shirt off. I don't want to struggle in front of people.
All right. Okay. Well, while Nick goes through another costume change, let me go back. I'll go to Chris's because this is exactly what I'm taking the odds on. The first play on offense Saturday will be a pass to Hollywood Brown. I can't imagine how it's not going to be at least a 25-yard pass to Hollywood Brown. You know, Mahomes wants to do it. He wants to push it as soon as he possibly can. So I'm just banking on the idea that, as soon as Mahomes gets a chance, he's firing one down the field to Hollywood Brown. Maybe it'll be a shorter pass, but I'm banking on it.
I'm back.
Oh, happy holidays, Nick.
I'm back.
Well, okay. If you're going to do this, if we're going to have this much fun before Christmas and everything, then
let's go. Let's light that candle, Matt.
I'm going to have you.
I've got sport coffee coursing through my veins, man. I'm ready to go.
I'm going to have you work on Dr. Ozzy's question.
Okay.
And while that, I'm going to step away for a moment for my costume change.
Get it, Matt. Get it. Let's go. Let's light that candle.
All right. I'm going to let you break down the wide receiver room.
Okay. All right, Dr. Ozzy, with our current wide receiver room, what does your ideal snap split look like? Look, ideally I would like to see, I'd like to see Hollywood Brown on the outside. Like to see Xavier Worthy outside as well as the outside receivers. Inside, I want to see Juju Smith-Schuster and DeAndre Hopkins working over the middle. They can kind of decide what they feel like is best in terms of how they should split up the workload of how to work over the middle. But I think DeAndre, if you use him on the short and intermediate passes, whether that is down the seam or out routes, or maybe you put him outside on some slants, but the whole concept is to get him the ball quickly in the 3 to 5 step drops. I think that is where, more than anything else, I think that's where DeAndre can really flex Right now, I think from DJ Humphries' perspective, if you get him back at left tackle in the Steelers or Broncos game, that's where I think DeAndre or Juju can be used more on the intermediate to deep routes, just to give them the time to get up to that level speed-wise and be able to manipulate that. But I think if you have Hollywood Brown and Xavier both on the field at the same time with that threat that they have speed-wise, I think that opens up a lot more room over the middle. And I think that opens up a lot more respect to where the Chiefs can really kind of use route combinations from their bunch formations, from the bench formations, and really be able to kind of hit those on a regular basis.
All right, Nick, I bought this just for you a couple of months ago because I wanted to
proud
have
of you.
it.
Good job.
I wanted to have it for our holiday episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Good job, Matt.
I was hoping you'd be proud of me.
Just know I'm saving another. I'm saving a Cousin Eddie prop for Saturday's show, which will be actually tomorrow.
Cannot wait.
Just know I've got it ready.
That is amazing. Can't wait. So I was going to save this until tomorrow, but you inspired me. So
Matt, that's what we're here for. We're here to inspire ourselves and other people.
Wish I had
the Kansas City Chiefs.
I need to get a better, maybe I should adjust my camera angle so you can see the shirt better. I want everybody to enjoy the holidays.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks for pointing out that the Red Bull gave up, and you're 100% right. But I bought this at Party City, and unfortunately, they announced they're closing today. So some of the props I was maybe going to get for New Year's Eve and Christmas may not be working out anymore, since apparently today's their last day of business. So I'm actually may hurry up over there.
All Party Cities or just one Party City?
According to the article, it's every single one of them.
No! I mean, I'm not like I go to Party City like once every 5 years or so, and that's probably why I guess they'll be closing.
Dude, they're the number one. I don't know. I don't think Party City was aware of this. They are the number one prop place that I would get stuff for the podcast. So
dang,
put me, yeah. So I mean, like the St. Patrick's Day or Valentine's Day, I gotta go somewhere else now to find props for 41 is the mic.
Dang, that's
yeah, Matt.
Now, whoops! Once again, I can't click today correctly. Alicia with classic. I mean, that is it's.
Oh, and you're wrong. The red's still working. It's not showing as well.
Yeah, it is showing. It's flickering.
Yeah, maybe it's talking about that one. Maybe that one may have decided that it's that one. The other ones are working, so we'll just rotate it around so you can see red again. And I'm not gonna do this because it's too stroby for people. Hold on, I gotta find where the necklace turns on and off at. See, Matt, we don't like to. Oh, where's my horse? Oh man, hold on. We'll get to that one there, Bill. Matt, let's find a cheese question before we lose the audience, man.
I know. I'm trying to. I keep getting lost looking for my questions. Gabbo, now that almost everybody is healthy, who would be your starters on the offense? Is it 12 or 11 personnel?
I mean, look, both.
I
already kind of went over the receiver things. What's going to decide it? And you want Hollywood Brown, Worthy, and DeAndre on the field as much as possible. So I mean that sometimes that's going to keep you from going to 12. And but I mean, you can still do it. You just won't have a fullback and and part of those formations that you use. So it doesn't matter, man. Like whatever gets them the wins. That's all that matters. Whatever gets them to get to the three-peat in the Super Bowl. That's what really matters to me. Because at the end of the day, here's the other. I'll go on a high horse in a minute, Matt. Let's do that for closing, okay? Because I want to make sure we get all the people's questions in. I'm being 100% serious because I feel bad when we don't.
So you want to save your last rant for the end?
Yeah. Say, Nick, do you have that three-peat rant? Say that. It'll process again. I'll pull it up on my Rolodex and ta-da! We'll put it out there.
All
with
right.
the sound effects and everything.
And the reality of it is it probably will be about 50-50. I mean, Noah Gray is going to play a lot of snaps because he's been playing well and just like that for personnel in that formation. I mean, I still think that their best look is going to be when they get Hollywood, you get Xavier Worthy, you get DeAndre Hopkins on the field at the same time with Travis Kelce. I mean, that's probably going to be your best formation, but you can also create a lot of mismatches with Noah Gray out there and Travis Kelce on the same field at the same time, and you're certainly going to do that a lot in run situations. So, I mean, I think it's, and I haven't been tracking the splits real closely recently, but I just feel like you're probably going to see more 11 personnel going forward because of just the Chiefs have leaned on so many 12 and 13 formations with the injuries at receiver. But now that you got a lot of guys and you can go deep again, then I think you're going to go deep there. So, Chris, what will have higher ratings tomorrow? College football playoffs or NFL football?
NFL.
Yeah.
NFL will have it. The college football game that's gonna have the highest rating should be the 7:00 game after football. Because I mean you got two marquee playoff matchups. They're basically 4 of the top 5 teams in the AFC playoffs right now. So you're getting early potential playoff preview style football on Saturday. And you got a physical matchup between the Ravens and Steelers. You got Chiefs who you either love them or you hate them. And then you've got the Texans, who everybody's still curious about to see if they're at the playoff level that they should be or not.
Yeah. I am with you. The NFL is king, and until otherwise, NFL is going to remain the king.
That's right, Matt.
Chris, is it true that the Chiefs are 123-39 in their last 162 games?
Wouldn't surprise me. I'm not
really
great
good.
with numbers.
I can pull up those numbers reasonably quickly, but I would need Nick to talk about something else for a while.
Man, why you always gonna make me stall for you, bro? You're like, hey, Nick, go dance, Jacobs, dance.
Well, it's either that or an elongated lightning round.
Elongated lightning rounds happening no matter what.
And the film we're watching games, what do you see about the Texans? It's interesting. Gabo took a little bit of a look, and his take is that they depend on how well Collins plays, and they're not very efficient against the blitz. It sounds like a pretty good take to me.
Yeah. So here's the one thing I haven't heard a lot of people talk about that really stood out to me watching them. The Texans secondary, when they're back in zone, they're very physical. Like they want to come down, and every single one of their corner safeties, they want to hit you, and they hit hard. And Bullock's actually very sneaky physical over the middle. He had a couple interceptions in their last game, or I know he had an interception, almost had another interception. But Bullock was really physical in that Dolphins game. And the overall secondary, they mean business. They hit pretty hard. So that's where Mahomes is really going to have to, like, from an accuracy perspective, make sure you don't leave your receivers out to dry, your tight ends out to dry, because they will take some hits, and they may not be playing in that Pittsburgh game if it's, especially around Bullock. Bullock will he's the one who laid out the receiver who for the Dolphins they had to take off on a stretcher, and they're very physical in their zone coverage in terms of after the ball's caught and the shoulder pads that they lay into people. So that was something that sneakily stuck out. Like I said earlier with the Texans offensive line, from guard to guard, they struggle with so they struggle, like I said, you can call it games, call it twist stunts, whatever you want to call it. People call it different things, depending on what terminology they want to use. But what the Dolphins did, and they learned it from throughout the year, because it's been done since week 1. And I put up a 5.5-minute video of every sack that, not every sack, but most sacks that CJ Stroud's taken of the 45. And what they do is they're always attacking to get either a center and guard turned. It doesn't matter which side, but they're trying to do that. And then they're trying to do it to where it manipulates the other guard, and they give themselves a rush or blitz lane. And when they do that, they go through. But the other key part is the defensive ends have to be up in a certain contain and close in. The Chiefs last week did a really good contain on Jameson Winston and then collapsed in on him to where he didn't have a pocket to escape from. So when people inaccurately say that, oh, Jameson Winston just stood back there and everything, well, he did, because the way they were rushing, they were specifically making sure he didn't have an escape hatch to be able to come out of. That's part of the reason the Chiefs had all the volume of sacks that they did, and why they had some of the blitz lanes that they did. And there's ways that you can occupy whoever the running back is in pass pro, whether it's Mixon or somebody else, and they were able to manipulate that as well. So Steve Spagnuolo, he's going to have some chances to get really creative, but a big part of it is taking Nico Collins away. If Trent McDuffie eliminates his ability to impact the game, the Chiefs can really tee off. And if they do it right, like they did last week against the Browns, they could easily have 5 or 6 sacks against Stroud, because other teams have been able to do it without a problem if they attack those guard to guards right for Houston.
Couldn't agree with you more, Nick. And I'm not just saying that because I was looking up stuff, but I'm still technically looking up stuff, but I'm almost there.
People wouldn't have known if you hadn't said
it. Well, but I'm like brutally honest. You know, I don't hide things well, Nick. I'm a terrible liar. It's why that, you know, if I ever do commit a horrible crime of some sort, I'm definitely going to jail.
Does that make me an accessory before the fact right now? I mean, you haven't committed anything, but have you just
no, because there's no pre-crime. This is not Minority Report. We're clear here.
All right.
You can't be responsible for something I haven't done yet or haven't even thought about doing yet. All right, now we're being asked to talk about things that are not football. So I think we have the luxury here. Any favorite movies to watch around Christmas time?
I always like to watch Home Alone. Christmas Vacation I have to watch, and I always like to watch on Christmas Day. There's not another one that I'm like, man, I really have to watch this, and if I don't watch this, I feel incomplete. There's not another one I can think of that I really have to watch. Those are kind of the two that I prefer. I know my nieces like when either the Santa Claus is on or Polar Express. They seem to enjoy those. So we have those on in the background sometimes at Christmas Day. What about you, Matt?
I mean, obviously, you know, Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest Christmas movie of all time. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not so much anymore because A Christmas Story was one of those things that if I ever stumbled upon it on cable, I'm absolutely watching it. But now that it's a streaming era, I don't stumble upon it as much anymore. Yeah. So I haven't seen it in a few years, but that's obviously a favorite.
Yeah.
Mostly because, you know, I mean, it's a fine movie, but mostly because the first time I ever saw it was with my friends in the neighborhood. And what we would do is that we would go over to the Nashes, and the Nash kids were technically not allowed to have anybody over in the house after school before their parents got home. But we all just usually went over there to watch movies or do whatever, you know, play tag, whatever it was, you know, how depending on our age group and everything. But one year we watched like A Christmas Story like every single day leading up to Christmas for like 3 weeks. And, you know, but then the really fun part was that, you know, whatever part of the movie it was in, when the parents got home, we all had to run out the back door and then just act like we were playing in the backyard the entire time. Yeah. So since we weren't technically allowed in the house, I'm sure that their parents 100% knew that we were doing that, but they didn't get in trouble for it.
So I guess my question is,
those were my good times.
I wonder why that was the rule. I mean, I have some ideas, but I wonder why.
I think it was just that they thought that if everybody in the neighborhood came over, that, you know, we would like break things and cause all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all like junior high kind of age at this point, so we weren't too much of troublemakers. And we were actually, you know, there's a little bit of elementary school kind of time frame in there, so we couldn't have gotten in too much trouble.
Matt, I built something just for the person that asked about the horses question.
So as for where's your horse?
Yeah, I did.
And believe it or not, we're going to talk about a serious football question next.
So. Matt, there it is. I put that file right there for you. That is the same hat I just wore a minute ago from when I was mutton busting back when I was 6 to 7 years old. There's my horse Kazin back in the day, my quarter horse that I would show in horse stuff. And then there I am as a mounted policeman for the costume portion of one of the horse shows that I was involved in. That's Kazin as well. He lived to be, I want to say 35 or 36. Had to put him down a couple years ago, but because he was born 3 or 4 months before I was. So
you two grew up together.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. So that was my mom's horse, and then we had another quarter horse named Rona, and then we had a little show pony horse named Nugget that my brother rode and won a lot of barrel racing and I don't remember what it's called, but it's all the poles that the horse has to weave through, just like they do in a dog show.
Yep.
And so that was that. But we'll keep the photo thing going. Movement. That's another thing. It took me a minute. I had to put the drop shadow behind it to make it look 3D. Had to put the blur behind it, and then had to do the motion so that you could see a photo in active motion. Because when you show photos, you got to keep motion going so you don't have video. Otherwise, people get bored with ADHD. So
absolutely true.
There's your TV thing.
TV tip 101 from Nick Jacobs there.
That's right. Hey, thank you.
Yeah. And for those of you who edit video on your phones, that would be your Ken Burns effect. So
sorry, I'm seeing the comments. Actually, that's very funny. But yes, you said we had a Chiefs question.
I did not see the comments. This is from a couple of people, but Steam and Demon gets credit for it for it's a super chat. So thank you, Steam and Demon, very much. Steam and Demon wants Mahomes healthy for the playoffs. He's playing wins on Christmas, no matter who broadcasts the game. Too big. 15's hurt on Christmas. Don't want him too big a chance for 15 if he's to get hurt on Christmas Day. And specifically to the question, I'll pull up here. If I can go back and find it. I'm a terrible. You know what, Nick? I mean, one day I just need to pay you to start, organizing this whole thing because I'm a terrible, terrible producer.
It's all right, Matt. We all have our strengths and weaknesses.
But you know what? You learn by doing. So I'll get better at this eventually.
Yeah.
But Mitchell, are you confident Mahomes can start throwing accurate passes or see open receivers? Haven't even seen that with a cleanish pocket. I mean, and with the ankle, to me, that's another important question, Nick. I mean, what do you expect to see from Mahomes this week? What can the Chiefs do to help him? What should Mahomes do to help himself? Those are my questions.
Get the ball out quick. Run 3 and 5 step drop passes, whether it's slants, crossers, quick outs, whatever you got to do. Because they're known for playing in zone coverage. You need to do that. Run the ball as much as possible. Keep Mahomes off that ankle to where he's not throwing 40, 45 times and having to maneuver around the pocket and take off running. You don't want that. Always leave him a check down route at whether it's P. Ryan or a tight end delay who's staying in to help block and then kind of just, and then releases off. Those are the type of things that I personally want to see, show that you recognize your quarterback's ankle isn't 100% and do those type of things because that's the most important thing that they could do. And then the other part of it that I would say is be mindful of the play action pass from under center because having to maneuver that much and maybe step wrong or something like that you don't want to do that either. So I expect personally they're going to keep Mahomes in a lot more shotgun, especially in the second half. And if they can get out to a big lead like they did against the Browns and really kind of maintain that, I think that's the best case in all scenarios combined for them.
Yeah. And to your point about, getting under shotgun, I mean, Mahomes is probably going to be a little slow, a little gimpy. And in that case, I get worried about somebody stepping on his foot. We've seen that before. So, yeah, I mean, giving him a shotgun, keeping him pistol a little bit. I'm with you. I mean, I've seen it. I mean, this offense is more efficient the more that Mahomes takes the ball, drops, throws. He's smart enough. I mean, he's a smart quarterback. He's the quarterback that he is because he sees the field extremely well. His pre-snap reads are as good or better than anybody in the NFL. He's not the player that he is just simply because he's incredibly gifted athletically, has got a great arm. It's because he's got a great head. I mean, he knows what he's doing. And I you know what? I know he said last year wasn't a lot of fun because it was such a hard struggle. I don't know if this year has been more fun for him because they're 13-1. It should be, but I mean, I think that going out and just slinging the ball around and getting 400 yards of offense would be pretty fun too. Yeah. So, I mean, and not getting hit would be a lot of fun. So that's what I would do if I were him, but we'll see what happens. Tyler, any word on when DJ Humphries may be available next? Is it still the plan for him to be the starting left tackle when the hamstring heals? I mean, that's essentially what Andy Reid said on Friday, which day of the week it was, Thursday.
Tuesdays when he first had to talk about it, Thursdays when he had to talk about it again.
Yeah. I mean, and Thursday, I was asked about, if he might play on Christmas and said, hey, there's a possibility. And certainly seemed to suggest that, hey, and until he's healthy, Joe Tooney's probably going to be playing left tackle. But once he's healthy, I mean, he's going to be the guy. So I don't think there's any doubt that once he's healthy, he's going to be it. And it's just going to be, how quickly can they get him in there, or versus the battle of how long can they wait to get him in there. I think
the thing for people that that can't attend practice, which is all of you, unfortunately, and I'm sorry. Matt and I see DJ Humphries out there every day. Like, he's out there during stretch. He's a part of stretch, and he's doing that portion. So he's physically out there. He's not back in a room having to do rehab or something like that. Like, he's physically out there. I think they're ramping him up correctly in the way that they need to. So that's why I want people to know, like, we do see him, and that's a great sign. And he is a part of the stretching portion and everything that we get to observe and see. So I don't want you thinking that he's just, hanging out somewhere in the back and that this is going to happen all over again. I think they did what they had to do, but, workload got to a point where snap count wise, it got past where his threshold probably was. And so if he can play in the Pittsburgh game, I think they'll play him in the Pittsburgh game. If it's got to be the Broncos game, I think they'll play him in the Broncos game. But I think they want to get him out there before playoffs start and give him some snaps out there. It's just, for some guys, they're having to make the decision. Do they want to play him in the Texans game, then find out what happens with Bills Patriots on Sunday, and then make the necessary decisions for the Steelers, or how they have to go about it? But I think a lot more so I think they're having to choose. Do you want to do Texans, Steelers, and then hopefully not have to worry about certain players playing the Broncos game? Or are you willing to do the Texans game, maybe not Steelers, and then do the Broncos because you get proper rest in between? It's a unique situation. Only the Chiefs, the Texans, the Ravens, and the Steelers are all having to do. Because, for example, the Steelers aren't having Pickens play against the Ravens on Saturday. But I wouldn't be stunned if I see Pickens in the Christmas Day game, or and I think he'll be in that following week whenever the Steelers, I believe, play the Bengals then. So, like, the Steelers are having to make some decisions too. Like, they're playing T.J. Watt against the Ravens, but if T.J. Watt's ankle gets re-aggravated or worse, may not see him against the Chiefs. Then they may have to do it against the Bengals. But what happens in those games and the results, I think, are kind of deciding for those four teams. They're all having to collectively pick and choose how much they want to do for certain key players before the playoffs.
Yeah, and you mentioned practice and DJ Humphries being out there. The really funny thing is that literally, I think it was the first practice after the injury, he was out there and literally went through stretch. Mm-hmm. And I think it was after that somebody must have told him that's not how Andy Reid runs it here. So I'm assuming that must be like an Arizona thing, that it was like, hey, if you're injured, you're still expected to go through stretch or do these things, or maybe he just felt like doing it. But since then, it's been more of what the Andy Reid Chiefs format is, which is that if you're injured, you're going to be out. You can be out there for practice if you're not getting treatment and everything, but you're not going to do stretch or anything. You're just going to be there as an observer and listening to the coaching, whatever it may be. But they don't want you doing anything. I thought it was really fun, interesting the first day that, he literally went through stretch, making it think, okay, well, this guy's okay. He's ready to go. And then they backed off of that. So I think that must have just been a little bit of learning curve about how things work in Kansas City. So
Justin is really obsessed with the light bulbs on my neck, so we're gonna take them off so we can quit talking about it.
I like the light bulbs.
Well, he's pretty in tune with them. It's pretty enamored with them.
Well, I'm a little disappointed, but that's okay.
Blame Justin, guys. Blame burner account.
There you go. Chuck, is Peyton Hendershot coming back for the playoffs, or is he done? Why am I completely blanking on his status, Nick?
He's on the practice squad. I looked the other day.
Thank you very much. That's why I was completely blanking on his status.
That's what I'm here for, Matt. Way to go, burner account. Yeah, you can say aw and in the comment section, but you kept talking about the light bulbs over and over again. This is what you get, burner account. Yeah, I'm glad you're there to keep track of things for me, Nick. So there you go. There you go, Chuck. There's your answer. Yes.
That's a t-shirt. That's a t-shirt, Justin. That's for sure.
Where are you at?
I'm at 4:15, so we're a while ago.
Holy heck, man.
DJ, yes, I did. I still have apparently sickness brain because you said did I get McCole and Sky mixed up? We're talking about McCole becoming actually his knee. Yes, I did, as a matter of fact. So that's also explains why Nick Jacobs was having a confused look on his face, but didn't say anything because he doesn't want to stand me up on my own live stream.
Matt knows me so well.
So even though he has carte blanche to correct me when I'm saying something stupid.
Excuse me, sir. It's Kate LeBlanche. Thank you.
Apparently, I'm going to need to sign a waiver or something so that Nick has it in his file and everything that he can correct me when I'm wrong.
No, not going to do that to you, man. I'm not. You don't go in somebody's house and be like, "Hey, that painting's crooked. That couch is aligned wrong."
But you do if
you're a guest in somebody's home or Q&A. You don't go on their couch and you don't start grinding dirt into their couch with your feet like on the Chappelle Show. Don't do it.
But if Picasso comes into your house, I want Picasso to say, "Hey, that picture's crooked." He knows what he's talking about.
If Picasso comes in my house and says, "You've been dead for hundreds of years. Get out of here, zombie."
If I've got an Emmy-winning producer coming into my house, I want him to tell me what things I'm doing wrong.
Oh, speaking of, man. Yeah, I got something sitting to me today, dude. I'm pretty pumped about it. It actually amped me up.
Yes?
I'm putting it in the show tomorrow. But I will share. I will give you guys that were kind enough to be on here a sneak peek.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
Yep. I was really pumped. I'm pretty proud of it.
I'll answer Michelle's question about who's Leo's replacement real quick and everything. I mean, I'm not sure the Chiefs are going to need a replacement. I think there's a pretty good chance that he is going to play, and I'm not sold that you're going to have a lot of snaps for him either because I think the Chiefs are going to play a lot of subs personnel, so I think you're probably only going to be having two, sometimes even one linebacker on the field at the same time. But honestly, I mean, the player who might benefit the most might be actually a safety. I mean, Jaden Hicks might play a lot more as kind of a dime linebacker type, given some of those snaps. So I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't obviously be surprised either if you see, Cam Jones getting some looks in there, Jack Cochran. I mean, they certainly can play. But depending on just the personnel, I think I think there's a chance that you might see, like I said, Jaden Hicks may be the biggest beneficiary of that as just a dime linebacker if needed.
All right, Matt, I'm going to show this to you.
I'm very excited. Guys.
Don't forget to watch the show tomorrow. And there's a reason why you should watch our pregame show at 10 a.m. on KSHB 41 in Kansas City. And potentially they may live stream on KSHB.com. I'm not 100% sure. Matt, roll that beautiful thing. You will see this plenty of times tomorrow. So I'm going to run as much as I can.
You're watching Countdown to Kickoff, Regional Emmy Award winner for live sports program on your home of the Chiefs, KSHB 41.
Boom, Matt.
There you go.
And scene.
I mean, my only note would be not to have your name on there, but I mean, you need to have your name on there. But
my name's on the trophy. That's all I care about.
That is excellent. I'm very happy for you and the whole team over there. You are much, much deserved.
Yeah,
a whole room full of Emmy winners over there.
We put a lot of Mackenzie Nelson won for reporting. McSchaefer has, 25, 30 for his sports anchor stuff over the years. Matt Foster will get one soon because he's technically only been in the market since September. So we'll see if he wants to submit some things. And then, yes, I've been able to finally win a couple after chasing it, like Andy Reid chasing that Lombardi trophy.
There you go. I think Ozzy sounds like you, Nick. Hollywood Brown ceiling a Super Bowl champion.
That's everybody's ceiling on the Chiefs, and I like the way Dr. Ozzy thinks. That's the way.
That's the way to think.
The ceiling should be.
That's the way to think.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Pano, Clark should have stepped in and made the decision to shut Patrick down tomorrow. This decision to play him could cause history with a three-peat. I mean, here's the thing, Pano. I mean, it may sound crazy, and maybe there is such a thing as a minor high ankle sprain. I've never heard of one, but I mean, Patrick's obviously said it's not as bad as the Jacksonville one, but I mean, you have to trust everybody involved. I mean, the medical staff of the Chiefs, I mean, there's going to be people who would potentially get fired if they don't take care of Patrick Mahomes. So that they're getting the medical clearance that he can play, that they're having that clearance met. I mean, Andy Reid wants to win a Super Bowl, so I don't think he's putting Patrick Mahomes out there if he thinks that Patrick Mahomes can't protect himself and can't be okay. And I don't think Patrick is crazy. I think that as much as I know how competitive Patrick is, and I'll say this, I was kind of surprised when, Andy Reid said that, hey, Mahomes fought him for a little bit about, wanting to go back into the game. I never saw Patrick put up any sort of opposition whatsoever about going into that game. That was like the first time I've ever seen, I think, Patrick look like he was quite fine and comfortable not going back into that game. So I think you got to trust everybody involved that he's not going to play unless a lot of people sign off on it, right, Nick?
Yeah. So you gotta trust your training staff. You got to trust the doctors that you consult with about it. You got to obviously get Patrick's feedback. And at the end of the day, you trust all three of those combined to make the best decision for Patrick's health and also for the overall team. But the bigger thing in the grand scheme of it is the discussion they need to have once the year is over is how do you avoid him having some of the lower body injuries that he's had, and how do you limit those over time? Because if you take a look at the lower body injuries he's had since 2019, he had the one against the Jaguars in week 1. Then he had the freak injury with the kneecap dislocation against the Broncos on the quarterback sneak that the Chiefs haven't used since then. Completely understand their reasoning, and I totally get it. He's too valuable of a player to put him in that situation. Totally get that. Then you had like I said, that ankle injury in 2019. He still ran around on it and everything and aggravated a couple of times and aggravated again against the Colts in that week 4 loss that they had. Then, he was out a couple games with a dislocated kneecap. Just a couple games, no big deal. His kneecap went in the right spot, but, they snapped it. They snapped it back into place and everything and avoided that being a pretty serious situation. And then you had the high ankle sprain against the Jaguars in the divisional round. And before that, in 2020, you had the turf toe that he got in that Browns divisional playoff game and had to kind of battle through that. And they went on and played Tampa that year, and he played with that during the playoffs. And then I want to say I have to go back to the Colts in that first playoff thing because I remember him being a little hobbled then too. I'll have to double check, but I remember being a little hobbled in that Colts thing back in 2018 on a play. And then, then he accidentally got choked out in that Browns thing. And what's kind of interesting is like some people didn't believe that was the case about, at the time, but when you see the replay, it makes complete sense. And when you watched, like I just flashed back to the episode of Yellowstone when Casey was doing a similar move as what that Browns player accidentally did to Mahomes. And like, that probably actually, that's more plausible than people probably realize now. And then like you had the high ankle sprain against the Jaguars when they treated Patrick like a fireman pole. And then you had the re-aggravation in the Super Bowl, and then now you've had this. So I mean, he's had from a below the waist perspective, he's had some knee and ankle injuries that that you got to remember he's close to 30, and those are going to happen. Those can potentially happen on a more regular basis the older he's going to get, because it's going to take longer for him to recover. And that's something that the organization collectively is going to have to start really thinking about after the season. Is priority number one is O-line and protecting him as he continually gets older and hits 30, 31, 32, 33, because the recovery isn't always going to be the same as when he's 24, 25.
Yep. That's absolutely true. And I mean, and this is obviously this team's number one product. So I don't think you have to worry about it from that standpoint, because remember, this is a guy who hasn't missed an entire season. He's only missed a couple of games here and there. And I think the Chiefs have by and large protected him pretty well. And they've been pretty true to themselves, which is that if the medical staff clears him and Mahomes says that he's okay, they're going to trust him to say so. And they're also going to trust him to say, hey, wait a minute. I mean, I want to play in the Super Bowl. I'm trying to three-peat here. And there's nobody who wants to three-peat more than that dude. So I don't think that he's stepping on the field if he thinks that he's a detriment to the team or he is a detriment to the three-peat.
Right.
If he thought that himself not playing on Saturday would help this team three-peat, he would not play. And that would be his call. So everybody's making me hungry here. Red Royce has got a T-bone calling his name. Brian is gnawing on some world-class bacon omelets. I mean, I'm getting hungry here, Nick. It's almost dinner time.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to ask you a question. I want you to look at the one at 4:30 and ask, see if I should bring that up because I'm going to have a rant.
You can go for the rant if you want to. I mean,
you know which one I'm talking about then, right?
I already as soon as I saw it, I was like, Matt's gonna wonder about that. Go for it. I mean, like.
Well, do you want to cover anything first before I, because me, if I get started, I might do one of a 5-minute Nick rant. So just
don't get yourself in any
trouble
in any situation that you can't get out of.
This is a question that comes up from time to time, but Haley asking, how do they decide who is coming to the podium? Seems like Mahomes and Chris Jones go weekly, but Travis Kelce doesn't, even though they are often referenced as the leaders on the team. Okay, so here's how you make the sausage once again. The NFL has reporting rules, and as far as media rule guidelines, as far as it goes, that they've, I don't know how, I mean, I'm going to give them the credit and say that it's negotiated with the Pro Football Writers of America. Sometimes some of it might be dictated, but at least it's negotiated. But there are policies in place, and there are some things that are vague. But the expectation is that in the guidelines is that every player should be available at least once during the week and after each game. So at least twice during the week. Doesn't mean that they can't be available more than that. And there are players on the team. And I'm going to cite some of them because Xavier Worthy will talk to you any day. He's at his locker almost every single day, and he's on his phone. He's got things he may be going on and doing, but he will talk to you every single day if you've got some questions. Justin Reed is one of those guys. There's a bunch of guys in the offensive line who are the same way. Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, Juwan Taylor will sometimes say no, but Joe Thuney, when he's in the locker room, he'll talk to you. I mean, he's not always in the locker room, but and now that I've started naming guys, Nick, I'm going to get in trouble for not naming somebody that I should, because there are a lot of guys who will. I mean, Drew Tranquil, Nick Bolton. There's a lot of guys who, if they're in the locker room, they'll talk to you. So no problems whatsoever. Teams are, by the rules, allowed to make one or two players. That's it. Who are available just once a week because due to their media requirements that they can put at a podium, and that is their only responsibility. And they have to make the quarterback available, but quarterback can be one of those two that they say, hey, other than the podium, this is their only media requirement of the week. Chiefs make that this year, Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones. Travis is in a different category. Travis just doesn't do any media. And I'm not going to pretend to speak for him because I haven't spoken to him directly. I have gotten so few opportunities to speak with Travis that when I do, I'm usually talking ball and asking questions of that nature. I haven't had the time to talk to him and say, look, Travis, what's the deal? I want to. I think that we should have that talk, but we haven't had the chance to. But the Chiefs have a policy where they have not required Travis to do any media. He has not even been available after he's declined invitations for questions after games, which is technically against the rules, but we're at kind of we have been at a stalemate for several years on this and how much, Travis can be available. Like I said, I'm not going to speak for Travis, but I've been told by people that his media availability is his podcast. Anything he's got to say is going to be on the podcast. So why do you need to talk to him? Well, because we're going to ask different questions than are going to be asked on his podcast. And they're, I think, legitimate questions. And I mean, this was always a battle before Taylor. It's been worse after Taylor. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Even though I don't think that, other than maybe at the very beginning, I don't think that that has been an issue. I think the local media has been very respectful as far as honoring some boundaries, but your mileage may vary. And I could really go on a rant, but I'm trying not to get in trouble before Christmas, Nick. So
there have been some after games where he has spoken in the locker room, and there are some where I remember a couple
there are
where
some
he did
times,
speak
yes.
on a Friday. So this isn't an every single week thing, but routinely Patrick Mahomes does speak on the start of each week, and Chris Jones speaks typically on coordinator day. And if a player is injured, they typically don't chat with them. Even
though it's not against the rules, the Chiefs try to force their own rule there, but it's not against the NFL policy. You'll see a lot of injured players around the league talk.
And Matt, that's all I personally have to say about that. Thank you for your time.
So, Haley, there you go. There's a little bit about it, but Travis doesn't talk nearly as much as most star NFL players do. He certainly doesn't talk as much as his teammates do, and I think it's disappointing because as much as hey, I think the podcast is great. I mean, it's fabulous. It gives you a peek inside the curtain of what it's like to be an NFL player, a star NFL player. And what he and Jason have done has been absolutely incredible. I enjoy the podcast. I love the Bill Murray interview. That was fantastic. But, we like to talk about this team with Travis, and we don't get that opportunity very often. And even when we do, it can be very truncated. And, I mean, in particular, here's my current beef, I guess. And it's more of a disappointment because I think that Travis Kelce has done a lot in Kansas City, and his foundation and everything that he has done with Operation Breakthrough in particular has been fantastic. Travis Kelce is more than deserving to me of the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. He's the nominee this year. It's a pretty good chance this is his last chance to win that award because you typically don't get to be your team's nominee 2 years in a row. Sometimes it'll even be 3 or 4 years. It's been a couple of years since he's been the team's nominee, and usually you got to be at this point in your career before you win one. I think he would absolutely be a great candidate for it. So why the Chiefs have not encouraged him to say, look, Travis, do some interviews because you're going to get asked about it. Let's do some availabilities with Operation Breakthrough where you're at to talk about and your teammates do talking about this. They've done nothing of the nature. And I think that's disappointing because, like I said, I think Travis is worthy of the award, and I don't think he's going to win it. And part of it is because he doesn't talk to anybody. And I think that's just sad because I think that I think that would be a great honor. And he understands it. I mean, I did talk to him the other day. I'm going to have a story about it here pretty soon about Travis and that. But the fact that, he's not done any on-camera interviews or anything, I think is a little disappointing. But I think also disappointing in the organization. So, okay, I'm done, Nick. My rant's over. I know you glassed over a long time ago.
Yep, pretty much.
All right, lightning round.
The other thing I do want to say is that they may do some national interviews that I don't fully keep tabs on, and those are technically media things too. So I do want to make sure that that's put out there.
He will. He's done, McAfee and some others and everything, but yes. Oh, Brian Parrott with the deep Dan Blocker reference. Truly appreciate that. That was an underrated reference, Nick.
All right then.
Sharon wants to know: Will weather be a factor tomorrow? I feel like tomorrow's going to be, football weather.
It's gonna be cold. There's gonna be a lot of hard hitting. There's gonna be some people getting have some sting. It's gonna sting whenever they get hit if they're not wearing sleeves. So that'll be a physical game in that front.
And you know who that might be tougher for than one team than the other? Team that plays in a dome.
Maybe not. You never know, Matt. You can't assume that.
Team that plays in Texas.
You got to be physical no matter what, Matt.
Going to be a little colder up here. Not like Miami Dolphins, coming to Kansas City, but
time will tell, Matt. Can't assume.
Are you trying to say your mileage may vary there?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying you can't guarantee something just simply because. Got to let it play out.
Tony, how quickly has he fallen? Remember when the talk of the town was Carson Steele?
Carson's he had some opportunities and they got fumbled away, and so he's gonna be a rookie that continues to learn and see where he's at next year.
I mean, he's playing behind Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. They're two pretty good backs. So
and Samaje Perine.
And Samaje Perine. I'm fully convinced Carson Steele will get his chance again, and I think he's got a chance to succeed. So don't fall asleep on Carson Steele quite yet. I'm the reason that Party City's closing, Nick.
No, I don't know. I didn't run the numbers, but they were pretty in debt from the article I saw, and I don't think you were going to be able to make the difference in the amount of debt they were having to pay off.
I probably wouldn't have been. No. Pano had a follow-up question. Does Clark ever have a say in roster decisions like Patrick's situation? Can he override coaching matters? I mean, he could. He's the owner of the team. I mean, he can do anything. But one of the underrated aspects, I think, of Clark, and I'm not trying to be a Clark Hunt stan here. That's not my job. But I can make observations. And I mean, Chiefs are lucky to have an owner like Clark Hunt because he is hands off in these things, because his philosophy, especially since when they hired Andy Reid, I mean, because his philosophy was a lot different, I think, previously before that. But when he hired Andy Reid, he made it pretty clear that his philosophy was going to be to hire the best coach, to hire the best GM, have them report to him, and let them do their jobs. And he's done that because Clark understands and knows that he does not know football. He doesn't know medicine. He doesn't know roster construction any better than the people he's hired. I mean, he trusts them. He hired them to make the decisions. And as long as they have results, he's not going to have any problems with that. I mean, you say like with roster concerns or decisions, do you want your owner making decisions based on Madden ratings? I know I'm not supposed to. I'm not apparently not supposed to get indignation with a high voice there. I got criticized for that, so I need to work on that. But
it wasn't me that did the criticizing, folks. You know that.
I mean, unless it was your burner account, and that was not a criticism to the person who said it.
Burner account. Let's not put that in the universe. I don't have time for a burner account.
Don't have time. But I mean, you want an owner like Clark Hunt, don't you?
Yes, lightning round.
Oh yeah, it was lightning round.
We're 10 minutes away from 2 hours at this point, Matt.
With the Chiefs O-line struggling on passing and not consistently running the ball, what can the Chiefs do to give Mahomes 2 more times to pass? Add another lineman, like go 6 linemen.
I already talked about it earlier.
Target.
I already talked about it earlier. If you want to add another lineman as a additional blocker, sounds great. Moving on. Lightning round.
Myles Garrett wants out of Cleveland. How much would you do to acquire him in the offseason?
Well, let's be clear. Myles Garrett did not say that he wants out of Cleveland. Myles Garrett said that he wants to see a plan that they're going to be a winner sooner rather than later. But the problem is with the contract situation they have with Deshaun Watson, they have tethered themselves to him through 2026 before the contract voids in 2027. And unless the character clause that supposedly was reportedly put in with the restructure this past year, unless that activates, they're going to be on the hook through 2027 when the contract voids. And they're like 15 to 20 million over the cap next year right now. And when I looked at what they're going to have to do maneuvering wise, there isn't a lot of maneuvering they can do except restructuring other contracts that they've already paid to certain players that may not match production. There's not a lot of wiggle room for them cap wise. So there's something I'm going to look up in the meantime while we're talking here to double check. But yeah, the Cleveland's in a tough spot, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Myles Garrett situation if he finally in the offseason, if he hears their plan and isn't a fan of it, what he would prefer happens with his future career so he doesn't completely waste it.
And I mean, if you're the Chiefs, you still have the issue of kind of dealing with your own remaining free agents, because there's a couple of guys that you would certainly like to keep. And even if you're not able to keep them, it's not necessarily guaranteed that you got the money to pay Myles Garrett, because Myles Garrett's going to want to be making $30 million a year for the foreseeable future. So now he's got a contract now. I have not looked at it, Nick, so maybe you are right now.
No, I wasn't, but if they were to trade him before June 1st, it takes another $16 million out of their salary cap, because it would accelerate part of what they've given him. Just looking at the NFLPA salary cap, the Browns are $42 million under, so they'll probably carry over all that. So that'll put them under the cap by probably, I don't know, 25, 30 million range. So they'll have money to play with. But I think it's only going to be it should only be money to maintain, and then they're going to have to make some decisions, a lot of decisions in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, he's got, 3 more years left on his current contract. I mean, if I'm Myles Garrett, I want some infusion into that. I mean, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of dead money in there that the Browns are going to want to
I don't think he wants infusion. I think he wants winning. I think he got a harsh reality of playing the Chiefs this past Sunday and said, wow, that's how far away we are from being a Super Bowl contender.
Oh,
so I think that heavily influenced his comments today was getting to experience the Super Bowl champions up close, the back-to-back Super Bowl champions up close, and to see how far away they are, how disorganized they are, and how they don't have an answer at quarterback or in a handful of other areas that they need. And I'm telling you right now, they don't have the brain trust to be able to make it happen. You can tell that.
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, his contract is the most tradable contract I've ever seen in the NFL. I mean, he's got a base salary of $1.25 million in 25 and $1.3 million in 26. There's no option bonuses or anything of that nature. There's a bunch that's already been prorated for the future out to 2030. So, I mean, the Browns are going to be carrying him on the books for 6 more years. And some big hits. I mean, they've already got a $37 million cap hit for him in 2027, in a year in which he's not even under contract right now. I mean, that's the most tradable contract I've ever seen. Now, that might also be like, the Browns are also going to say, okay, well, if you want him, we want some picks because you don't have to pay this guy.
Lightning round.
Thank you. I do need a good producer to keep me on track.
Yeah, you're only 3 minutes away from 2 hours now.
Whatever happened to Warpaint, Nick?
I don't know. I'm sorry. Do not know.
I think there might have been some. I don't know entirely for sure. I shouldn't speculate since I don't know for sure. But I actually think that some of it was tearing up the field. So,
lightning round here.
Are we in lightning round?
Sort of.
How would the offense change with Wentz at quarterback?
If Carson Wentz is at quarterback, I think he succeeds, and where his best mechanics are is out of play action. So I think some under center, some shotgun, but utilizing play action and getting a quick passing game, I think, is how he works. I don't know if there'd be as many deep shots, but if they were, I think they'd be more out of a play action thing. So I don't think the offense would change as much as people realize. I just think play action is what helps Wentz get into rhythm.
Can't disagree. I mean, I think it's crazy about the possibility that I think Carson Wentz could go out and play a game for the Chiefs, and if he plays with the starters in the first line, I mean, I think he could have actually a pretty good game, and because I think he would just go out there and game manage his fanny off, and remember, he'd be playing for a contract too. So, I mean, I think Carson Wentz could go out there and have a pretty good game, and if he went out there and just dropped through and had 300 yards, and the Chiefs put 450 yards and 30 points up that day, I mean, I think it would probably send a message to everybody, including the starter, that, you know what, sometimes just eating your vegetables works. Thomas, shouldn't the Chiefs have Joe Thuney playing left tackle for the rest of the season, hoping for DJ Humphries to rehab from his knee and now healing up from a hamstring is not the best plan? I mean, Joe Thuney is a great stopgap. I mean, I have no problems with that. And he didn't give up any sacks last week. He did give up a fair number of pressures.
Yeah, for Joe Thuney, his arm length is what burns him, and that's what's going to continue to burn him. So not having that wingspan that the Chiefs are big on, and NFL in general is big on, that does get him knocked back sometimes. He has really good technique to be able to recover from a lot of it. But the sooner you can get it back to left guard and help that run game, the better off they're going to be overall. So the quicker they can get DJ Humphries back out on the field, the better it's going to be for what they collectively can do as an offense overall. Because the thing for Caliendo where he has problems is in the combo blocks. He leaves a little too quickly, and that burned them on some of their run plays. He didn't have that full feel yet of how long you need to stay and when to go second level. So like that kind of that's only going to come with experience. And right now they don't have time to deal with that. They got to win.
I spoke about this earlier today, but I didn't use some of the right terminology. So I'll clean it up right now and just say that I think it's a darn shame that when Cyberdyne Systems built Joe Thuney in the future and sent him back to protect quarterbacks, that they did not install 36-inch arms. Because had they done that, I mean, Joe Thuney, the Terminator, would be a great left tackle. He'd be one of the best. Just at the factory, I don't know if it was the AI. I don't know if it was Skynet. I don't know who made the decision, but I don't know if the parts were just unavailable that day. But darn it, if he had 36-inch arms, he'd be your left tackle. Lightning round.
Yes.
Deximus. I butchered that. I'm so sorry. If you're the Chiefs and if you let the Broncos win, you knock out the Bengals. Hopefully the Chiefs are playing backups, but if not, do you want the Broncos or the Bengals in the playoffs? It could be an interesting scenario.
Broncos got a really good defense. They're going to be able to compete with anybody based on that defense. The Broncos struggle in their run game. Bo Nix is going to have a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure up against him. So, I don't think it's going to be an easy playoff run for him no matter who he's playing. It'll be great experience for him, but I think it's going to be tough for him overall. The Broncos defense is what's going to have to carry them. In terms of the Bengals have a terrible defense, got a very explosive passing game, but if there's a team that can take away Jamar Chase and force T. Higgins to have to do what he does and can get to Joe Burrow and rattle him, especially with the injuries along their offensive line, then the Bengals will have trouble too. So whatever happens is whatever happens.
I mean, I think whatever happens is meant to be. So there you go. But if I had to pick one of those two teams to play in the playoffs, I think I would pick the Bengals because the Bengals defense is terrible.
No,
it really is. Okay, I'm dying to know before we go to the next, so I'm going to go ahead and do it now. Yeah. I mean, I need to know the three-peat rant.
No, not three-peat rant. Let's make sure we get all questions done. Still got a couple of those. We'll end that with that, and I will do it a lot quicker because this is 2 hours on a PTO day for me.
Brian wants to know, extra trivia question, what show was Dirk Blocker a regular on?
I have no idea.
That was Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay. Sounds good.
There you go. Hopefully I get my extra credit question. Lightning round. I'm trying to find one that we haven't really talked about.
536.
Did I miss one at 536?
Let's put that up. That'll be a new rant now.
That one?
Yep. So here's what I'm going to say to that, because a lot of people put stuff like this in the comment section that, I'm either in a bad mood or I'm annoyed or whatever. If I was those things, I wouldn't have went and did a dress change with a cowboy hat and a flannel shirt and a toothpick, and I wouldn't be wearing a Santa Claus hat right now, and I wouldn't be have been wearing Christmas light bulbs. The problem is people expect me to be on 24/7 when we're doing this, and they think that we're entertainment and we're not answering questions. We are humans. We are, in fact, not robots. And for people that don't know, this is actually a vacation day for me right now, where I'm supposed to be decompressing.
This is Nick's December to remember.
And I'm doing a solid for Matt here. And so in turn, whenever we talked for 2 hours, I'm doing this for out of respect for Matt. So and to answer your guys' question,
100%.
So I guess what I'm saying here is I'm giving away time I could be using to not be thinking or talking about football, but I'm happy to do it for Matt, and I'm happy to answer the questions that people have. So whenever I see comments like that, that's what actually annoys me, because like I'm sorry, but I mean I'm not a robot. I'm not up here doing a 2-hour variety show. Like, I'm just trying to answer what questions I can, be respectful, and move forward.
And I can back this up because I know Nick loves everything. I mean, and to his credit, I mean, like he said, he does this as a true favor to me, because he doesn't get paid. I offer to pay him, but I'm not allowed to pay him. So the only thing I can truly pay him is not giving him hugs. So, and I know he does appreciate that. So, but Nick is always having a good time. He just has no patience for answering the same question over and over again, which is a great tip here, because if you want Nick to be happy and enjoy the show and have great answers, ask something that hasn't been asked, because Nick will love that. And he will dance for you like a monkey.
and to say that I'm bored when I'm wearing a Santa Claus hat.
You can't be bored in a Santa Claus hat.
Come on now, people.
It's because I know it because I do it too. Sometimes I bore Nick because I bring up the same questions and everything, and I also bore him when I can't find the next question and get lost in the conversation. And yet he is such a generous Saint Nick that he puts up with all my nonsense. So,
all right, let's finish strong with this couple of questions, and I'll do the quick rant, and we'll try to keep it under 3 hours.
Who will be the first Chiefs player to sell a Super Bowl ring from the last 2 years?
Absolutely.
KT gets my vote.
No idea.
I don't have an idea either. I don't have an idea either, Lee, but you know what? I mean, it's not a bad pick, but I mean, I don't, unless you see something I have not seen. I think we've answered pretty much everything or touched on everything.
Justin Mead at 5 burner account here at 548.
Justin Burner,
who was obsessed with my necklace, my light necklace, and now we're obsessed that I'm not using a green screen. Here's the thing, Justin. If you wanna buy a green screen, you are more than welcome to. You are more than welcome to do that. But there's certain investments I'm willing to make, and there's certain investments I'm going to use on making memories with family and friends and people like that. And I choose that over occasionally the Santa Claus hat not being, fading in and out in the fake background behind me.
My close friends and family, several of them, wonder how. I mean, they don't see the questions you get about the green screen, but they just can't fathom why I don't get criticized more for the mess that is behind me, because they don't think that my background is very attractive. And there's elements of it that are not. And part of my background is just productive, and there is some mess. Because there's certainly, I mean, there's some game books and notes and everything like this that haven't been filed yet. These binders, by the way, are all of everything that I have. Every piece of paper that I have encountered over my 8 years of covering the Chiefs goes in a seasoned binder, and so I keep everything. I mean, it's organized. I'm not a hoarder, I swear, people, but that is organized. It's not pretty. It's just productive because I've got it all there. But I don't think it's terribly messy. But yes, my family and some close friends look at this and they're just like, how can you stand that? How can your viewers watch this and not just be grossed out by how messy your background is?
Matt, I don't know what to tell you, sir. But what I do know is that the Chiefs play tomorrow. That's what I do know.
I mean, I know we've got. I know we have a promo, but did we get? We didn't get the three-peat rant.
All right, fine, three-peat rant, and then no more questions. Questions are closed. Last call is done. We are at 2 hours and 8 minutes at this point, and I'm surprised that there's still 3 people even watching. And I want to thank my mom for that. So Here's what I'm saying about three-peat rant. So right now, what I need people to understand is for Patrick Mahomes and for the players on this team that have been here for this entire run, and this is what the national media doesn't understand, and they never will understand, is this run, if they can make it, determines legacies for a lot of people that have been here for every single one of these Super Bowls since 2019. This is the ultimate legacy aspect to where the Chiefs elevate themselves to a level that very few franchises have ever done in any sport, not just football, but in any sport, to win 3 consecutive championships. So if the Chiefs can do this, Tom Brady's never done this before. Joe Montana hasn't done this before. Terry Bradshaw hasn't done this before. Has not been done before in the NFL. The Chiefs go to a whole new stratosphere in terms of legacy. And anything Patrick Mahomes, if they are able to do this, anything Patrick Mahomes does after this is just gravy. Because it's the one thing he can say, no matter what, he has over Tom Brady. He has over any other quarterback that has ever played in the NFL. So any Super Bowl he wins after that, if that happens, that is just gravy. That is bonus. That just gets him closer to Tom Brady whenever Mahomes is getting ready to hit 30, and potentially, depending on what happens injury-wise, you hope it doesn't happen. But at that age range, there's probably only a handful of years that Patrick Mahomes, may want to play, may not. I don't know. But whenever you can be the quarterback that has won 3 consecutive Super Bowls in a row, when you can be the defensive tackle like Chris Jones could be winning 3 Super Bowls in a row, Andy Reid, the guys on the coaching staff, everybody combined that's been here for this entire run, that puts them at a whole different level. And in terms of Hall of Fames and what may happen down the road here, that is the number one thing you say when you're in a Hall of Fame voting room. If you're deciding, well, was Chris Jones dominant enough? Well, you know what? He was the guy who was the defensive tackle on the 4 Super Bowls that they won and the three-peat that they had. So for people that want to, this is where national media doesn't understand this, and nobody will understand this until if the Chiefs get to that moment and are holding the Lombardi Trophy in New Orleans, is that this is the ultimate legacy right now. This is the motivation that the Chiefs are actually chasing. That's why I think it ramps up when it comes to this Saturday to get that 1 seed, and I think it ramps up, especially when January rolls around, is that they are chasing something that has never been done before in the NFL, and that finish line is a lot closer, and the horizon is in sight more so than people realize. It isn't September. It isn't the dog days of August with training camp. The legacy is right there for their taking, and that's why I think you're going to see things ramp up to another level. And then if it doesn't ramp up to that level, that's where the interesting fallout would potentially be, is what was wrong in the roster construction, what was wrong in was there something wrong in the game plans? Was there just a team that was better than them? And then those are the things that you're gonna hear for the entire offseason. You're gonna hear all the other fan bases taunt the Chiefs fans that they couldn't make it happen, and then you're gonna hear people doubt the Chiefs, and is their run over? Is their window closed? Is this closed? Is that closed? Because those are new, fresh topics that they get to cycle for 6 to 7 to 8 months on end when February rolls around, maybe even January. But what I'm saying here is, more than anything else, is that starting on Saturday, the run for a legacy truly starts to crank up week by week until you get to January. So getting this bye week is the most important thing the Chiefs can do to give themselves an even better chance to get the legacy that they are after.
Amen. Couldn't agree with it more. And you and I are in lockstep on a couple of things. And I keep telling people is that the legacies that are on the line here, you think about how many Pro Football Hall of Famers are on that Super Bowl 4 team that won 1 Super Bowl. They went to 2, went to the first one that helped out 2, won 1 Super Bowl. There's 10 Hall of Famers off that team? I mean, this is not just Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and honestly, when we talk about how many Hall of Famers on that team, there's still Hall of Famers, people going into the Hall of Fame off that team, that era. And yeah, it was a good team, won 1 Super Bowl. This team, it's not Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. count DeAndre Hopkins, even though he's not a Chief. I mean, the legacy's not there. I mean, he's a Texan through and through. But I mean, there's going to be at least 5-6 more Chiefs, if not more, that go into the Hall of Fame off this. You win a three-peat, Chris Jones is definitely going to the Hall of Fame. Brett Veach is going to go to the Hall of Fame. Clark Hunt's going to go to the Hall of Fame. There are probably other players on this team who continue their run and continue their careers might end up in the Hall of Fame. Justin Reed might get into the Hall of Fame. I mean, and there might be players who are just beginning their careers. Trent McDuffie might end up in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you don't know where the journey is going to take them, but you win a three-peat. I mean, and these guys know it. I mean, and it's not even that. I mean, some of these guys, you might, if you're Cole Christensen and you've got like 3 Super Bowls. I mean, he is absolutely beloved by Army, and he is a star in that football program. He is going to be revered in that football program for years because of his roles with this team. There are many players like that who are going to be revered by their colleges or universities or high schools because of what they have done. And these players know it. And you know what, Nick? And you hit on it. This team has not hit the whip yet because Andy Reid knows this is a 2021 game season. And that's a crazy thing. This team has gone 13-1 at this point without putting it all on the field because they can't afford to put it all on the field until January. You haven't seen the best of this team yet.
I already did my rant, Matt. I'm sorry.
I just echo your rant. So I guess I'm just even ditto.
All right. If you want to pop up the first one, we'll start to wrap this thing up.
Pile up the first one.
Pop it. You want to pop it?
Oh, pop the promo and everything.
The first one.
The first one.
No,
all right.
Have music to it as well.
All right. There we go, everybody.
Oh, we'll voice this over and see our way out, and then you'll have the final.
Okay.
Which could be our commercial out.
All right, we'll do it.
So you can join us. Don't forget, Chiefs Texans on KSHB 41. The pregame show starts at 10 a.m. The game will be on NBC at noon, and we will have post-game coverage immediately following the game. Don't forget to turn it to the home of the Chiefs, KSHB 41, Matt. For the Chiefs and Texans on special Saturday football. Again, 10 a.m. for the pregame show.
Boom. Nailed it.
Thank you. I tried my best.
That was the best. You. It's like you're a pro.
I know. It's like I do this for a living.
I mean, we're already 2+ hours, so I won't go into it deep and everything, but I will say I did get to watch the Chiefsaholic documentary last night as a preview, and that thing is, I think everybody needs to see it because there's some interesting details and everything. And I'll say I'll probably have a very unpopular opinion here. I apologize. I don't really apologize if anybody's offended by this. Boy, that guy's a real jerk. I mean, I'm just going to say that. Chiefsaholic was not a good guy. So you will learn that in the documentary. And the documentary is actually it's both too long and too short at the same time. It could have been 6 episodes of a miniseries, and I think it would have been great. But it's at a documentary. It's 2 hours, and it felt like 3. But there's my Siskel and Ebert. I give it like 1.5 thumbs up.
I have no comments on anything, and any Matt's comments do not reflect mine.
As always, we always remember that nothing that I say reflects on Nick, his employers, his friends, family, his horse, anybody else.
100% accurate, Matt. Thank you.
100% accurate. All right. We'll see you tomorrow after the game for 41 is the mic. So you don't have to wait too long to hear from us again.
It'll be a Saturday night special at some point.
Some point Saturday night special is absolutely it. Do we need to be done before college football begins?
I don't know, Matt. It doesn't matter because it'll be available Saturday night through that Wednesday when they play the Steelers.
There you go. And still haven't figured out. I don't think we figured out a time officially yet. If we were going to be able to find the time that we both could do another Q&A next week. Did we figure that out yet?
We did not because our schedules have things that we do not have determined yet.
All right, so we're going to put a pin in it. We'll figure it out. we'll see when we can get together and do another freewheeling conversation that doesn't go 2+ hours. And
and definitely the number one priority on my Christmas wish list.
And my goal for Christmas will be to make sure that Nick has a great time the entire time. Which means I might not use your question if I think it's going to be a question that annoys Nick.
Lightning round. It'll be lightning round throughout.
The entire show will be a lightning round. Okay, I now have the gift that I'm going to give Nick for Christmas.
Is it a toothpick?
I was going to say a live Q&A that is total lightning round.
So it'll be 90 minutes then?
No one's going to go to the train station, though.
Again, the comments of Matt Derrick do not reflect me or anything that could get me in trouble.
Hey, you know, NBC owns. They own Yellowstone. They should enjoy the promos.
Technically, Paramount owns Yellowstone. NBC just licensed out the Peacock deal with it.
See, I thought NBC owned it, but licensed it to Paramount.
I don't know, Matt. At this point,
usually you're the one that's correct in these scenarios. So I will always defer to you.
All right, Matt. Well, we're eclipsing 2:20, and if I keep letting you talk, we will get to 2:30, and we may even miss the college football game tonight.
All right, everybody, go watch some college football. Enjoy your Chiefs football on Saturday. We'll talk to you all about it. Win or lose, it's going to be a win.
Hit that promo, Matt. Let's light this candle.
It's all things Chiefs right here. 41 is the mic, a Chiefs podcast on your home of the Chiefs. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts. Also available to watch on KSHB 41.